Guys, I'm Shmee. Welcome back to the channel.
Tim, what's the biggest scam that you think's in the car industry?
The biggest, by far and away, problem is hybrid.
I'd walk before I drove an electric car.
Welcome to the Shmee-museum. I'm lucky in my collection to have a mixture from hypercar through supercars, hot hatches, all sorts of silly, weird and wonderful things.
So what's your whole collection worth?
£6.5 million.
Ooh.
I was pinned at VMAX for a full minute, and that was like a euphoria.
That's incredible.
Who's lying about their car collection online?
Please don't hate me. Please don't hate me. It's killing the industry that we love. If anybody ever asks me which is the last car I'd ever sell, it's always that.
There is no way in the world should that car be the money that it is.
There's nothing that comes close.
Overrated or underrated? McLaren, Koenigsegg, Ferrari. Tim, what's the biggest scam that you think's in the car industry?
Interesting question. Because there are two perspectives to this. There's one that cars are inherently frequently involved in scams. You know, cars are a very easy way to shiftily move some money around. You see a lot of that in the world. The other is...
You mean like money laundering?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You know, especially at the very high end of the car market, cars moving around the world, it's a pretty easy, unregulated way to do some dodgy.
Yeah.
The completely other side of it, I'm probably sure that Carl will agree, and I think you probably will too. I'm actually going to say is the way that we've been force-fed the EV side of cars.
Now we're talking.
And sorry for that.
Now he's going to wake up.
Kind of, yeah, maybe a bit juicy for me. The reality
As in
is,
by X year, every car has to be
Completely.
electric. Everyone gears up for that.
But without-
You can get these all as a tax break, and then it all gets reversed.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like diesel 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Again, it's set by politicians and administrators, not by people who understand the industry. And I've known for a very long time, more than obviously the general member of the public, because I sit and talk with the bosses of car companies and people within the industry who have to work 5 years ahead of what you see. So I've seen this, let's say, shift. And, you know, I saw it, if you go back at least 5 years ago, the shift of everything we make in the next few years has to be electric, because literally that's what they're telling us. But, and it's a massive but with everyone you talk to, the additional impact on the environment of producing an electric car versus its combustion engine equivalent, the ongoing, how are we actually fueling these things anyway, because in most countries it's not renewable energy, so it doesn't make all that much difference. The potential for the costs, which they're still trying to work out, right? They've just announced there's going to be a tax per mile on an EV-driven, EVs and hybrids here, which is complete baloney, because you go on a road trip to the south of France and back with a hybrid, you've paid for the French tolls, their road tax, so why should you pay tax on the mileage you've driven on your car and between its MOT tests here? I think that's completely lost the plot. You know, I'm not coming into this as somebody who's anti-EV. I daily drive an EV. My partner daily drives an EV. Very happy to use an EV, unlike Carl, unless there was a Spectre involved. But my problem is that it's killing the industry that we love, because regulation is being set based on arbitrary rules, not by actual development. And my biggest problem with it overall, which is not really discussed, is that manufacturers have spent the last 10 years pouring many billions into the development of EVs. That same money being poured into the development of combustion engines would have made them twice as efficient as they are today. And that's completely ignored. That's completely ignored in any conversation. But we've done it to ourselves. You know, the big brands, Mercedes, they kept that same V8 running way longer than they would have done, because they knew they had to go electric, because that's what regulation said. They could have brought out a new engine years ago that would have been even better.
I feel like he needed a round of applause.
That
Honestly. I couldn't,
Yeah.
I haven't got the vocabulary to have explained that the way you did, but I couldn't agree with you more on anything than what you've just said.
Wow. Amen.
I just feel like we've been told by people who don't fully understand this is what you have to do. And I'm incredibly lucky. We're incredibly lucky to, you know, if we're told we have to get an EV, we're able to go and get an EV. But new EVs are also very expensive, let's not forget. And they have a shelf life. And the reality is the mileage people drive. if you look at any realistic metrics, and I know it will have updated since, but actually Volvo put out a comparison a few years ago, which I found fascinating. They did a full report because they produced on the same line, I think it was an XC40 combustion engine and an XC40 recharge, maybe it was called. So they had the direct comparisons between the manufacturing of one versus the other. And you had to drive, before they were neutral to each other, you had to drive the recharge like 50,000 miles or something before they were even.
Wow.
So before you had any, it might even have been a bigger number than that. That was maybe based on renewable charging rather than the real world. So the reality is, if you look at the average mileage that a Brit drives, it's about 7,000 miles a year in this country, the average mileage. For your first 7 years, it does nothing. And then after 7 years, do you still have a usable battery?
No.
So why are you then having to go down that path? I think we're in one funny pickle right now is the sound regulation. Now, I don't know if you've heard any of this year's cars, or let's say the latest cars, but Temerarios and 849 Testarossas. Sound is gone. They're dead. The noise is...
It's been going that way for the last couple of years though, with cars, hasn't it?
The rules for this year are a 72 decibel drive-by, which is...
Do you think that's part of what might be pushing up these older, nicer sounding cars up?
For sure.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing manufacturers being a bit cheeky and offering you an additional track-only exhaust that people end up keeping on their cars, yada, yada. I don't know how that's going to play out legally, but I wouldn't be surprised if that kind of thing happens. But the reality is that new cars, they can make great sounds inside. And this is a great example. Inside this sounds amazing. Outside doesn't sound anything like the 458, but sounds way better than its successor, the 849. Way better. And the problem is that is, again, regulation control. And I think it's lost the plot of the passion element. It treats, every country effectively treats cars as a means of transport and almost ignores all of us car people.
Yeah.
Just like we're
You're not allowed to love them. You just got to get from A to B.
They're just getting you from A to B. And I think that, again, if we're talking about, let's say, big scams is another one of them. It's completely... Rules have been allowed to kill a passion-driven industry.
By people who are not in the car industry.
Correct. And yes, it is a problem when somebody with a C63 goes and sits in the center of a town, just goes, wah, 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 that's a problem. I'm not saying otherwise. That is a problem. But if it's every now and then a noise from a car, it's not really a problem. Go stand in central London. The loudest things that go past are buses. It's not even supercars.
No.
So I think that, we've been unfortunately led down this path that nobody's been able to do anything about. And we now end up with a world where the new cars, and I have no idea how manufacturers are going to handle it going forwards. Because we go back to it, you don't need a car like this. You don't need this fast, this expensive, whatever. You do it because you want it. And a big part of why you want it is because you feel it. That's the way we're programmed. We hear a loud engine noise, and any of us who like cars,
get excited.
What was that?
Yeah. You all do that. Of
course you do.
You're trying to guess which car it is.
Yeah. So take that away, and
just may as well just all jump off of a bridge.
No, it's not that bad. Luckily, we still have all these old cars.
You always get old cars, and that's why these cars from the 90s and early 2000s, that's why, they're loud and they're raw and they stink. And a lot of them are manual, which you can't get anymore. And that's what people want. People want what they can't get anymore.
We all have our favorite periods. And here in my garage, from 2016 LT, 2014 SLS, 2015 Speciale, the GT is a 2018, GT8 2017. That for me is like the end when performance was the highest it could get.
Yeah.
Noise was basically the highest it could get before regulation said no.
Yeah.
That was about the end. I would add to that list if I was in the position to do so an F12 TDF 100%. There will certainly be a few other cars. I mean, for many, it would be an Aventador as well. That was right where they were
peaked.
That was peak car for me. Peak car was around
because of the performance.
16.
You got
performance nannying,
200 plus mile an hour cars that sounded like cars that I get that. Where the earlier stuff, there's very, very few well-performing cars. 140, 150 miles an hour was about as fast as you could go.
Yeah, I mean, obviously everybody has slightly different periods and perspectives. And
it depends on your age as well, doesn't it? Because I'm 47, so I'm the F40 rather than the F50. I'm the Testarossa, just because I was in my early teens at that age. Because you carry this nostalgia with you, don't you?
Well, I find that fascinating in the market right now. I mean, you saw it from the recent 250 GTO sale, in the high $30s, which...
Cheap.
Yes, that car is a bit of a peculiar one, non-matching engine, da-da-da-da-da-da. So as GTOs go, it's about as cheap as a GTO could
Hasn't
be.
done well for the GTO market, though, has it?
No, but it's time. Because most people who want an early 60s car...
They're dead.
They've either already done it, or they're at the end of their life, or they've already passed away. Like
I see it with things like an E-Type.
It's just harder to sell. One of my dream cars, if I did run into 100 million tomorrow or something, and I was going on a massive shopping binge, is a 300 SL Roadster. I mean, the Gullwings are cool, but I love the Roadster.
Yeah.
It's better to drive. They've stayed around £1 million for the last 10 years. They've not changed, and it's the same thing because they're late 50s. Most of the people that did have one have passed away, and the cars are kind of constant flow of them through the market.
The only thing with a car like that, and it applies to a couple of other cars of that era as well, is you could own that car, never, ever, ever drive it, and thoroughly enjoy just looking at it.
Yeah, it's true.
That is a piece of art.
I
the
agree.
Gullwing and the Roadster is
But
beautiful.
I think the number of people that think so is declining.
Yeah, maybe so, yeah.
I don't think you would run into £1 million or 1.5 of Gullwing.
Young
and think
Bitcoin
that's
money
good
are
money.
not looking for a 300 SL Roadster, are they?
Not even closely.
No.
And I think that's just an interesting generational shift. And we're at the time now where, as we said, those cars from the 90s that people loved when they were teenagers, they're now in a position, maybe they sold a business, maybe they've done very well out of Bitcoin, whatever it is. They go, oh, I don't care. It's what we saw, I think, at the Enzo at Mecum that went for $18 million. I think 2 people wanted that car, and with their personal circumstances, it didn't matter if it was a 12 million, 30 million, 40 million, they wanted the car. Hence why it ended up at $18 million.
You get that in the US.
Yeah.
In the US, they're just different.
Yeah.
They don't care. They don't care.
If they want it, they want it. I mean, that's why Chandler Stradale just went for $1 million.
Yeah. And I've got one I can't sell for $250. So now,
well, if you want to sell it for $250,
no, I'm not selling it. I'm not selling
See how quickly.
I'm not selling it. But that's why I took it off sale. I thought I've just watched one make $1 million.
Wow. What's the fastest you've ever driven, and in what car?
Fastest I've ever passengered was in a Chiron on the road at 227 miles per hour, 367 kilometers an hour.
Wow.
Terrifying. Fastest I've ever driven myself, probably my AMG GT Black Series, which hits a pretty hard limiter at 205, 335 kilometers. And it runs into it, just and just stops.
Really?
Bang. Yeah.
Wow. And how do you feel at 205? Is that like your life going before your eyes?
I think when you're in a car and you're driving, and we're talking on the Autobahn here. I used to live in Germany for a while. When you're
not on the A roads around
no,
here.
not on my local
The
roads
M25.
in England. That would be trouble. When you're on VMAX in a car, there is an adrenaline rush that just feels so intoxicating. It's knowing that the car has nothing more to give. You're in that aero block. That's the top. Everything that thing can do. Boom, you're on it. It's noisy. It's emotional. You're just feeling the vibes. There was a time many years ago, I went out for a drive early on a Sunday morning in my 675 LT, and I was pinned at VMAX for a full minute, and that was like a euphoria. Pinned at VMAX. 202, I think it was in that car.
For
a
60
full
seconds?
60 seconds.
That's incredible.
And that feeling was like, wow. Obviously, you want to make sure the car is service safe and prepped to do so.
Tires
in a safe
at the right
environment.
temp.
Yes, everything new, because there's a lot that can go wrong very quickly at that speed, but obviously lucky to drive at so many different events. It's one of the funny things I find. People are always like, oh, but if you've got all these cars, aren't you tempted to just drive fast everywhere? I'm like, I get to spend a lot of time on racetracks, a lot of time on the Autobahn, a lot of times in places where it's firstly safe and secondly legal. So there's no buzz for driving 150 on the M1 because what's the point? You go to jail for it.
Yeah.
And I'm not down for that.
you lose your license in the industry that you're in.
Oh, it's a problem.
Yes, that's a hurdle.
Well, man, you'd have some cars to buy.
I'd have to come up with a new way of driving or a private something.
Yeah. I lost my license for 2 years, and I had to get a full-time driver, and I bought a chauffeur jet V-Class.
Yeah, lovely.
It was
those
amazing.
Ramjet things,
yeah.
yeah.
And do you know what? It absolutely. I hate driving now.
Yeah.
I've got no enthusiasm to get in a car and think, wow, I want to go for a drive. I just don't.
Do you still have that enthusiasm?
To drive?
To go and drive?
Yeah, all the time. I love getting in a car and just driving. I particularly love stupidly long drives. You know, some people think, oh, I've got to go somewhere 500 miles away, and that would be their worst nightmare. I just love getting in the car and just driving.
Yeah, but look what car you're getting in.
Yeah,
Look
okay.
at any of these. I mean, do you know what I mean? You're not getting in a Passat.
It doesn't make a difference.
No, but you have the cars as well.
I know, but they're so loud. I can't use the phone. Can't do any work. If I'm driving a car like a two-seater loud car, I don't care if it's got Bluetooth or Apple CarPlay, whatever it's got. The time I'm in the car, I'm out the office.
Yeah, no,
and
it's
that plays with my mind.
Yeah,
like, I need to be on my phone.
But I think that's in a way why I also quite like it.
I get it.
Because I don't feel a responsibility that I have to answer a call or deal with anything.
Well, you can't. Because you couldn't
can't
talk
really
to
hear
them.
it.
Yeah.
Can you imagine a phone call coming in?
Yeah.
No, but I'm on the Autobahn at 200.
A minute, VMAX. Hello? Doing 210?
You joke, but I have definitely taken a call at 200 miles an hour before.
Really?
Have you? Yeah, definitely.
Can you actually hear
because
them
in the
talking
Black
to them?
Series, it's not too bad. It's a Mercedes. It's got a good sound system and good Bluetooth.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely done it.
So you weren't, at any point, my life could be done at 200 or 227 miles an hour. Surely there must be a part of you that thinks, if one of these tyres goes, I am a dead man.
I would say the first time you would think that, but obviously he does it all the time.
Do you know what? This is like anything in life. If you are a Brit, and you know most people watching this aren't people listening, aren't people who are German and grew up with the Autobahn, right? If you go one time, the first time you're driving that fast, you're not familiar with how far up the road you need to look, with how other cars behave, with the impact of going past cars very quickly. But I lived in Germany for a number of years with very fast cars. And like anything, it's kind of you learn from the experience.
Right.
So you learn very quickly to look a long way up the road and to predict who's going to move out over who. You know, so there's a very different mindset to it. And, you know, obviously it's looked at quite differently now to how it was 20 years ago, that kind of thing. Driving particularly quickly, and it's a very hot topic politically in Germany. But it's about being
trying
responsible.
to stop it?
There are always people campaigning to introduce a nationwide speed limit. But the reality is, when you're driving very fast, your concentration, you're in the zone, you're concentrating. So I'm not going to sit here and, you know, the previous thing we were just saying was you're not going to take a phone call that speed because you're really engaged. But equally, you're not sitting at 200 constantly, right? As soon as there's a car in front, or as soon as you're going to go past a car, you're slowing down.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to go past a car who's doing 70 at 200 because that can go wrong very quickly. Yeah. So you back off and then you get back on the power, which in a supercar is awesome.
I done a similar thing when I was in a Veyron on the Autobahn, and a story I've told a couple of times. I'm on the Autobahn. I've just picked up my Veyron. I want to see what this has got to offer. I'm on the right road. It's like it's heaven. So foot down, got to 200 miles an hour. Then took my eyes kind of off the speedo, watching it get to 200 miles an hour. And then, like, as you say, was concentrating on the road and how far in front of me, because you don't understand how much time you need to slow down and how much road you cover in a second doing 200 miles an hour. And there was a car behind me. There was a Mercedes S65 coupe with two guys in suits, two business guys in suits. And they are on my bumper at 200 miles an hour.
They're just commuting.
Wow. They're on my... Tim.
Cruise control.
But this is what I mean. The thing when you live in Germany and you're familiar with it, that just becomes normal.
There's maybe 2 car lengths between us. And I thought, fuck this. So I've gone again. And now I don't know how fast I'm going, but I was at 200 and I kept it down for another, say, 5-6 seconds. So maybe got to low teens, 213, 214, whatever. So left them a little bit. Then had some kind of anxiety attack. So I pulled over, like not pulled over, but went into the slower lane, like cruising at 170. And these guys just come past me.
Wow.
And I looked at them like, these are lunatics. And they're just having a conversation. They're just talking.
And they're in some Brabus modified, but debadged.
Yeah.
I was like, these people, I just needed a cigarette and just pull over and just chill out for a minute.
And what about sitting as a passenger? Did you say in a Veyron?
A Chiron. But that was with Andy Wallace from Bugatti.
Right. Yeah.
He's been the man responsible for driving multiple cars to their speed records.
Yeah.
McLaren F1, all the different Bugattis, etc. And often takes media and customers out for rides.
So you felt
experiences.
safe?
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
When you're in the hands of somebody with that level of experience, completely. But also the car. I think this is another thing that's quite hard to relate to. Cars that can go this fast are built to go this fast. You know, I've driven my Focus RS at 160 something. That is far more nervy than a supercar going 200.
Or a Testarossa doing 90.
Potentially. But you know what I mean? A car that has a lot of downforce is incredibly planted. It's not wiggling around and moving around.
Yeah.
Whereas your family saloon is not built for that. It's wafting. It's, you know, you don't feel any confidence going through a corner. And one of the things I actually find really interesting is even cars, you know, luxury cars that can go very fast. Take, for example, the Ferrari V12s. They can all pretty much do 200 miles an hour, but they're not downforce cars. So at 200, they do float around a little bit.
Yeah.
Whereas the GT Black series or, you know, any Porsche GT product or anything like that, they're like stuck like glue to the road, that you have so much feel through the steering wheel that you feel like you can go through a corner at 200. It's not a problem. So something like the Chiron, again, you're in handling mode, the wings up, the ride is, you know, the car's sitting right down, hunkered to the tarmac.
Yeah.
It's at home at that speed.
Yeah.
It's not even breaking a sweat.
Right. Wow.
You can literally take your hands off the wheel in a Bugatti at 200 miles an hour. You can literally take your hands off the wheel.
No, you can't.
You can.
No, you can't.
Honestly,
And not
you can.
feel nervous.
Disclaimer.
Don't do
I'm
that.
not.
Don't do that.
Kids, don't try this at home.
Yeah.
But you can, can't you?
It's a delicate.
It just
it's a
I mean,
balance.
Right.
there's no vibration. It's just
No.
like you literally could just, and it'd be fine.
Wow.
But you know, at 200, they're not built to go 200 miles an hour. They're built to go 250, 260.
Yeah, so 200.
So 200 is quite tame.
Wow, this is
What a world that these
Yeah.
things exist. That engineering
wow.
has made this
And now
possible.
the Super Sport does 300 miles an hour.
300.
300 miles an hour.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Was it 440 kilometers? Is that?
Even more.
No, it's more, isn't it?
484.
Yeah,
something like that.
Paul Wallace done it recently, didn't he? In the Super Sport, he broke the record.
So they've done the 300 plus record.
300
yeah, it
plus
was
record.
304.77.
Yeah, that's
They
insane.
set the record out.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the next goal is not 200 miles an hour. The next goal is 300 miles an hour.
Yeah. It's. I mean, it does reach a point though where the level of preparation to do that.
course,
You know,
yeah.
I know 200 miles per hour. If you're used to driving on the motorway at 70 here in the UK, is an enormous number. But the difference from 200 to 250, let alone to 300, is
yeah.
really big.
Yeah.
You know, engineering has got to a point where quite a lot of cars can comfortably do 200 and feel very stable and good at that speed. But 250 is
What extra prep do you have to do to 250?
tires. If anything goes wrong, the consequence level goes up exponentially, right? Not that you ever want to be involved in an accident at that level of speed, but surprisingly, with modern technology, carbon fiber tubs in these kinds of cars, even a bad accident at 200, you can survive.
Wow.
No, not, you know, it's not something I would want to play with,
Yeah.
but it's not a kind of 100% guaranteed mortality rate. So with that kind of progression, tire progression, they've just got better and better and better. You know, modern tires like a Cup 2 can do that fine. Like it's built for that. They can go up to decently through the 200s, but at 300, you need special reinforced tires. You know, the heat they're generating and the force exerted on the outside of the tire, the weight of it, due to the way it's spinning. I'm not a physician, so can't explain fully, but if you can think about it, I think Andy always had this thing saying that the valve cap, you know, that tiny thing that weighs nothing, spinning at that speed actually weighs quite a significant number of kilos.
Wow.
Even though it's
Yeah.
nothing, it's a gram
Yeah,
or two
yeah,
or whatever it
yeah.
is. But because it's being thrown around so fast, it becomes huge.
And this is why Bugatti tires are so expensive.
Yeah.
On your Chiron.
They're different. The 300 plus record tires are not just like an off the shelf. People think that all you do is you go and buy a Cup 2 and that's it, off you go.
Yeah.
No, they're reinforced, they're engineered. Michelin run them through testing before they put them on a car. So every
Right.
tire has to be individually like certified that it's good for that.
And how much are those tyres?
I don't know. I can
silly
imagine
money.
it's not cheap.
More than some family cars, maybe.
Probably.
Well, Veyron tires are 27,000 a set.
Yeah.
So I know Chiron tires were half
But not the
because
300
obviously
mile an hour.
but not the Super Sport, not the 300 miles an hour tires. I mean, I've never replaced tires on the Super Sport. I don't know, but yeah, it would be a lot of money. It'd be certainly as much as a very, very nice car.
You're definitely not going into it thinking it's a cheap car to run.
No.
So, Tim, thank you for letting us come to your car museum.
Absolute pleasure. Welcome to the Museum.
very colourful.
It is.
I
Yeah.
do like my bright coloured cars.
Yeah.
And no two are the same colour.
Yes.
Always different shades.
Right. So what's your whole collection worth?
I think the total collection, as it sits in today's market, and obviously it's quite hard to figure that because some depreciate very heavily, some are popping up out of nowhere and becoming worth significant money. We're talking in the region of £6.5 million.
Wow. And how does that make you feel?
Quite surreal. Quite surreal. Like sitting down, because at the end of the day, I still feel like the same kid that I was when I used to run around central London, going to car shows with a camera in my hand, filming everything, right?
Yeah.
It's still a pinch moment of that I even own one of these kinds of cars, let alone have a garage filled with them. I think the dream was to one day, own a Ferrari. The dream was not to have a collection of Ferraris.
The whole catalogue.
Yeah, so it definitely, I come in, walk into my own garage and I go, wow, this is cool.
Yeah.
Like, it's an absolute dream. And I get to, it's not just that, it's that I get to use the cars as part of my job.
Yeah.
Creating content, traveling. So I get to use the cars, meet people, go to places. It's even more than just the metal and the carbon fiber. It's the whole package that comes with them. Is just every single day I wake up and I feel really lucky that this is the case.
And if someone came and offered you a straight 10 to sell them all, would you sell them all for 10?
Honestly,
But you couldn't go and buy them back again.
Honestly, no, because for me, the big driver to work very hard, to work 7 days a week, to get up, to push projects, to try things, to take risks, because anybody who is managing to achieve some success with something had to take a risk to get there, right? The driver is to be fortunate enough to own these kinds of cars and to drive them. So just selling them all for a quick buck would be amazing. But what would then be the point? Because that was what I was working for. I think I'm very lucky to be able to say that I reached a point in my life already where I'm very happy with how it's gone. Of course, you're always aiming higher, you're always aiming at bigger things. But if I turned around now and said, that's it, I'd be like, that wasn't a bad innings. This has gone quite well. So I think that it's not necessarily just that extra, in this case, let's say 3 or 4 million. While that would be incredibly nice and life-changing, it wouldn't massively impact the way I could live in the way that being without the cars would.
25 million.
Oh, come on. Yeah, but now you're just in theoretical things that don't exist. So
Everything exists.
I don't think that exists.
25 million. We've all played these games.
I mean, yeah, of course we have. We've always said, money, no object. What car would you buy, right? And you're like, I'll get that one, then I'll sell it and buy the other ones and
but
whatever.
25 million. But
I mean, that's
but
a
no
big deal.
cars after the money.
Or you can't have another car again.
No, that's
Ever.
the whole point.
Oh, then no.
Because then
No,
you just
cars
cheat
are
the
like
game.
And you can that.
I'm not asking you.
But as a car enthusiast, which I think all three of us are,
Cars are life.
I mean, let me ask you the question: for 25 million, you can't have another nice car for the rest of your life. Would you do it?
No.
Well, there
Exactly.
you go.
So all three of us are no.
There you go.
Isn't
50 million.
Could I have a driver drive me in one?
No. You get a V class. That's it.
Yeah, but I mean, a Landjet.
By the way, I like
a
V-classes.
Landjet. It's nice.
I like them.
No, I don't think I would. No.
Because it goes back to what Tim just said.
'Cause
What's
we all
the
love
point
cars
of
when we
waking
were
up
young.
early in the morning, going to work, working hard, to then not be allowed to buy what you have worked for?
The most important thing, I think, in life are your passions, because that's what drives you, right? And if you love cars, if you've got cars running through your blood, you couldn't imagine a life without them.
No.
And whether it's that, for me, I think it's almost like growing my business in the first place with what I did was I love cars, I love cameras, and I love technology and social media and how all this works together. And I couldn't imagine not having those things. I often think, like, if I played the Euro Millions and I won, 100 million, would I do anything differently? No, of course not. I'd still wake up, make videos, go and drive cars.
yeah.
Well, you'd probably become a drug addict, which most lottery
Well,
winners
this
do.
This is a drug addict. These
Yeah.
things.
Probably the most expenve drug
Addiction.
that you can get
Yeah, this
is
is worse.
car. Well, women are an expensive drug. I've seen,
Are they?
I've heard they're terribly expensive. I've seen a lot of people lose a lot of money being addicted to women. But cars is a safe addiction. Unless you kill yourself in one, it's not going to kill you.
It's a little bit more known.
It could be a lot more expensive if you don't buy well. I mean, if you just keep
It
buying new
can.
stuff that drops.
For sure, it can. But I think you can also, plan for that ahead of time.
Yeah.
If you run in, I'm not going to lie, when I bought my SF90 Stradale, I did not think that they were going to collapse in values. I've owned it for 4 years. at that point in time, nobody was turning around and saying, yeah, that's going to nearly half its value in 4 years' time.
Don't give up on that car.
No, I'm not going to give up
I'm telling you
car.
that they are going to go
Mate,
back
there's going
up.
to be memes of you saying,
I don't
you say
care.
this to me every
No,
time.
I'm with Carl.
I don't
and
care.
they keep dropping.
There is no way in the world should that car be the money that it is. It's just this is what's going for it. The brand,
Yeah.
it's a Ferrari.
Yeah.
Okay. The looks, it looks amazing. The drive, it drives amazing. The numbers, they're a lot rarer than people think they are.
He's going to talk up your car for you. So
I'll do the
push it
same.
back.
I say it all the time on
Yeah.
videos.
We'll look
understand.
back on a podcast in maybe 2 years' time.
You keep saying that sort of shit to me.
I've been trying to sell him one for a
He's trying
year.
to sell me one.
I think they're a good thing to get in.
Do you know what, Rob? There's a lovely blue electric.
I think we'll look back and go, can you remember when they were 250 grand?
Yeah,
I
with the
think we will.
150.
They won't be. They won't be.
I'm 100% with you on that, so much so that even though I don't really drive it anymore, I'm keeping mine because I think at the current market at 250.
There's
I
a
think-
long game.
Yeah.
There's definitely a long game in that car.
Okay, you've tempted me. So, Tim, could you first off just talk us through, like, just tell us the cars in your collection, like literally list them?
List everything.
Yeah.
Oh boy, how long do we have?
Well,
And let's start from your least favorite
oh,
to
but I
your most favorite.
well, that's easy. That Purosaurus.
No.
Yeah, that Purosaurus.
I think that's too hard to kind of do off the top of my head. Maybe by different categories, because obviously I'm lucky in my collection to have a mixture from hypercar through supercars to your kind of muscle cars to hot hatches to all sorts of silly, weird, and wonderful things. I have an identical to my first car 1.2 Renault Clio from 2005, worth about £1,000.
Yeah.
It just so happens that we engine swapped a Clio 182 motor into it, and it spits fireballs and has about 200 horsepower. But even though it's sitting on Bill Stein, it's still stock ride height. Silly project like that. And a Clio V6, which is obviously, for many people of that kind of generation, was like poster car, coolest thing ever. Great fun to drive. And then also in the like hot hatch territory, I've got an Abarth, which is the Ferrari dealer edition.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember those?
Yeah.
There were only 200 of them. It was the...
595, is that the one?
No, before.
Oh,
not
before
the Tributo
that.
Ferrari. So go back to 2009,
Yeah.
and the emissions topic was just beginning. Ferrari dealers all got one to use effectively as their courtesy car. So you'd go and drop off your 430 Scud and get given a little Abarth, but it would lower the fleet averages. And then each dealer got one, and they sold that one. So this was Dick Lovett Swindon's car. It's number 200 of 200.
How much was it?
Love driving. I bought it at auction for only 16 grand.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's worth quite a bit more than that.
Yeah.
It was a steal. I don't know why it was so cheap. Obviously needed a little bit, but it's painted Rosso Corsa and it has the 430 Scud stripes on it.
Yeah.
Silly thing. And then also in the hot hatch category, I have a Focus RS Heritage. I had a string of the Mark III RS cars, but that was the last ever Ford RS, 50 of them.
Yeah.
Super rare. That's turned out to be quite a good
What do you think
purchase.
that's worth now?
Mine has done too many miles,
Right.
but it cost in the 30s and it's probably worth in the 60s.
Wow.
So it's not done badly.
Yeah.
Pro rata, that's a great investment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you
if I
drive
kept
them,
it-
enjoy them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If it was 0 mileage, maybe it'd be 75, 80,
Right.
but I drove it a lot. And I still drive it a lot.
Yeah.
And I love bombing down the lanes in it.
Yeah.
Um,
And is that the end of your hatches?
I have a runabout Alpine A290 electric runabout.
Yeah.
Trying to think what else.
We're on about
That's
5.
Basically at the end of the hatches, yeah.
Yeah.
So then we get into, let's say, the sports cars and muscle cars. So we have the V8 Vantage Roadster,
Yeah.
4.7. That was my first. I was working in an investment consultancy at the time. Job was going quite well. That was my first, right, I'm going to go finance myself into a silly car. And at the time, hoped that making videos of it would be cool, but didn't know that they would.
Yeah.
So the first time I ever made a video filming was driving that Vantage.
And you've had that from that day?
I only owned it for about 2 years at the time.
Yeah.
Sold it, but I managed to track it down again 9 years later. So
Yeah,
bought it
that's
back.
quite.
Very
That's quite.
sentimental.
People do that. It's quite common, I get things like that all the time. Someone will call me up and go, "I used to own that car 5-6 years ago. Wish I never sold it. Want it back."
Yeah. So for me, that was again one of those. I mean, I had to sell it at the time because I couldn't have bought another car without. I didn't have the money to just, I was financing that. I couldn't do 2 cars. But it's funny how that, I guess, felt so significant, certainly to my Shmee150 journey since, because that was the first car I ever pointed a camera at myself and talked and made videos. So without that, none of this would have got to where it is now. The funny thing with the car is it did very few miles with the 2 owners between my ownership periods. And it actually, when I picked it up from the gentleman I bought it from, there's like a pouch between the seats. And I put my hand in, and I was driving home on the M25 and pulled out a piece of paper, and I was like, what do I need to send back? It was a letter from my mum that was still in it.
No way.
Yeah. So I'm like, well, that's staying in the car. That's part of the car's history
Oh,
now.
that's amazing.
Yeah. So that was still in it from 2012 to 2021. I spent 10 grand on fixing things up, even though I drive it 100 miles a year. But at this point, it's part of furniture.
Yeah.
Yeah. So people always ask me, are there any cars you regret selling? That's the only one.
Yeah.
I've got that back. So there's nothing else that I've owned previously that I feel I need to buy again.
Yeah.
There might be something that comes up and I spontaneously say, yeah, that would be cool. But that was the one that I was really keen to get back.
Yeah.
So continuing from the Vantage Roadster, we've also got the Vantage GT8, which was the last of that generation of Aston Vantage. Naturally aspirated, carbon body panels, manual gearbox, unnecessary and stupid, sounds like an absolute riot.
Sounds amazing.
You probably
don't
had
they?
one in the showroom at some point.
They sound amazing.
It's nuts how they got that through homologation. I'm sure there was a little bit of a grey area on that topic.
A few backhanders.
Yeah, but somehow it made it to production, so I love that thing.
Yeah.
I'm sad that hasn't been more of a collectible. It's not done too badly, but there were 200-ish new, 130 on today's market. Surprises me a bit.
I always think cars like that, they will eventually get back to their retail value.
Yeah, but then you have to look at what's inflation done, what we could have done with the opportunity cost at the same
Oh,
time.
100%.
If you were purely of that focus, for me, it's driving. Just took that out to the US this last summer for Monterey Car Week, which was cool because they never sold the GT8 in America. So it's the only one that's ever been to
So they're
America.
looking at it like it's a spaceship.
Yeah, so it was really cool
yeah.
to have a car that's relatively inexpensive compared to some of the cars out at Car Week. But against that, it's the only one in the country. So really cool for people. In the muscle car camp, I have a Shelby GT500. Which is an absolute brute, 760 horsepower rear-wheel drive. That's a track pack, so it's got carbon wheels, no rear seats. It lights up the tail like you wouldn't believe. You can imagine.
Yeah.
It's proper go through a crowd territory.
Yeah.
Try not to, but it would be very happy to do so. Funny thing with that was, when the second wave of lockdowns hit in the very end of 2020, early 2021, we were out of the country and I had a US visa, so we basically just stayed in Florida. And it's kind of like, well, why would we go back home, given if we do go back home, can't really do anything there, we'll just stay here. So I was like, right, road trip time, content time. Do you know what? Let's buy a car. So I bought the GT500 out in the US, kept it there for 2 years, then imported it here. And it's fun because that's so rare here. There are probably 10 in the country.
Wow.
Even for GTs, there are 4 or 5 times that.
Yeah. And what do you reckon that's worth?
120, something like that, pounds. Because obviously it had taxes paid for UK, so hard to compare because, if you import a car from out of the continent, you have to pay VAT, duty, VAT on the duty, the import costs, etc. So you can't compare to a US car because they were never sold here.
Yeah.
And it's not like they go up for sale every day. So we've got the American muscle, the British muscle, kind of, and then the German muscle, the 2 Black Series, the SLS Black Series. I bought in February 2020, right before everything. And I'm not kidding. The next month, I was looking at myself like, why did I do this? Because it felt like the whole world was falling apart, right? And I just spent all of my cash reserves on importing a car from Germany. Luckily, before, obviously, Brexit, so it could come into the country without the duties and whatnot.
So good timing, actually.
Yeah, really good timing.
Would you pay for it?
$340,
Right.
which was really good.
What do you think they're worth now?
It's very hard to place my car because, like all of them, I've resprayed it, done some modifications to it, driven it far too many miles. So it would be at the bottom end of where the market is. But, a clean one is what, 800?
Yeah, I sell them between 750 and 850.
Yeah. So
Wow.
I'm quite happy. Even if it's the cheapest, it's still more than it cost.
Yeah.
But there's a premium to have Shmee's car.
There might be down the line. It's really interesting. When I sell a car, there's either nobody wants it because it's maybe too well known. And that often happens with Porsches, interestingly. Because even though
what kind of people buy Porsches, didn't they?
Even though every Porsche GT car has done track days and been redlined, buyers don't want to know that the car's done that. They know it, but they don't want to know it. And if it's on a video, they know it.
I have this conversation all the time. I've had it with Rob a million times. I'll get a 997 GT2 RS or a 997 GT3 RS or any variant of a GT3 RS or an RS car, and it would have done 10, 15,000 miles, for example. And the person who I'll have interest in the car will say, has it been tracked? And I'll say, well, I would assume so. because it's built for the track. It's done 15,000 miles. I would say it's probably gone to the track. It's not a car you take, to Sainsbury's. So it's, and then they're like, if it's been tracked, I don't want it.
But
are you going to track it? Yeah, I'd look at tracking it. Hang on a minute.
The crazy thing, though, is at that time, 997s, nobody bought it to collect and invest. You bought it because you wanted to go and track it.
Yeah.
Like, most of them will have been collected, and then the next day, driving around Silverstone.
Yeah.
That's just what they were for.
A Porsche owner collector is a different human being.
It's having to understand the mindset. It's a very different mindset. And I find this a lot with each of the different brands, because like I say, there are some cars which I just get offers on constantly. There are some cars where DM messages will come in, can I buy this off you? Can I buy this off you?
Like what?
It often comes down to like the classier Ferraris, right. I would say. The Lussos I've owned and my FF even before that, they were all pretty much DMs frequently. More now cars that have appeared on the channel over many years, like the GT8. Yeah. I get DMs about that. People saw the story with the car. So there are people now who were maybe late teenagers at the time who are now late 20s, maybe in a position to buy a car. And they think, hey, if you're considering selling it, let me know type thing. It happens a lot with the more, I'm going to say, regular cars. So I always have like coming through an M3 or an M2 or an Amira or, cars in that like enthusiast but not crazy expensive category. Those are often the ones where people will be quite keen to be the next owner. Yeah. So they tend to be quite easy to sell when the time comes and can go for a good price. Yeah. My Mustang Dark Horse I owned in the US, I sold recently from an Instagram DM. Wow. Straight away, done. I put out one story, got a reply, and off it went. So, it can vary on that. Yeah. Obviously, alongside the SLS Black Series is the GT Black Series. That's a bit of a personal car because I was involved with.
That's quite a low mileage example, isn't it?
Yes, it's spotless.
300,000 miles.
Spotless delivery mileage. One careful owner.
Original color.
The original color. Never had
any paintwork.
Drifted, ice laked, desert. Yeah, never. I was involved in the launch campaign with Mercedes AMG, so it's a very personal car to me. And it's funny because I had painted my SLS in Mystic Blue against the advice of every collector in the world. And when I said I was going to do that, people got angry at me. Like, people in comments were not just, this is a bad idea. They were genuinely angry.
Abusive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, how dare you do that? You're ruining a collectible car. Full on, like, just cross about it. And I had done it in Mystic Blue because the famous color for that car is Solar Beam. Mm-hmm. But I knew at the time with my GTRs that I had that when the Black Series would come along, I would do that Solar Beam. And then I couldn't believe it when in the same month they opened the order book for the GT Black Series, they took Solar Beam off the menu for every car. They stopped doing it. It was the same month. So you couldn't order a UK GT Black Series in Solar Beam. And I was like, well, this is a problem. Because I made previous decisions to respray an SLS. I could have bought a Solar Beam SLS. I really wanted a Solar Beam car. But I haven't. Anyway, so what I basically said to Mercedes, it was a funny backwards and forwards. I was like, can you do it as a one-off? And they were fairly, if we do it as a one-off for you, we've got to do it for someone else as well. Mm-hmm. Completely understandable. So I was like, okay, well, I'll take delivery and I'll respray it. And they're saying, oh, please don't do that. It doesn't look good on us that we couldn't do it. I said, well, can you do it as a one-off? It was completely circular. So what ended up happening was I took delivery, and after 6 days and 600 miles, just to make sure there weren't any initial problems, it was pulled apart to repaint it. Full tear down. Since then, it's been to 32 states in America, did a 14,000-mile road trip across the US, so through Death Valley at 50 degrees, circuited the Americas, tons of cool things. It went out to the Middle East, drove it to Dubai and Abu Dhabi. That was pretty fun, actually. I took it to the most famous Abu Dhabi F1 race, the Max Lewis.
Oh, really?
That one. So I was in the car park at that race with the GT Black Series, obviously at the time being a Mercedes AMG and Lewis Hamilton fan, so didn't leave particularly amused that evening.
No.
And what's quite funny, actually, I drove on the way back to Dubai from Abu Dhabi. Car in front of me did like a last-minute swerve because there was a tire in the road, which I didn't catch. So I just clipped it, and there's like a 2-centimeter scratch on the front splitter. And I've left it there because I think it's quite a cool souvenir of having been in Abu Dhabi with my UK-registered right-hand drive car, which is not a normal thing. More and more people are doing it now. Mm. I'm sure people have taken cars out. But 4 years ago, that was like the first time taking a right-hand drive car to the Middle East. Nobody that wasn't a thing at that point. Yeah. And yeah, combine all that together and going to the Arctic Circle and going to the Top Gear Road in Romania, the Trans-Făgărașan Highway, and going all around. It's got 43,500 miles on it. Road to 100K.
That's the next mission, is it?
Yeah, I want to get that car to 100K.
Well
but
done.
it takes a lot of driving when it's not your daily to get to 100K.
Yeah.
And you have a collection of cars.
Yeah.
Like if it's your only car, okay, fine, give it a couple of years, you can get there. But in a fleet of cars and from a content perspective, I don't want to take the same car on every trip.
Yeah.
The audience wouldn't be very happy with me. But I love it. You can go to a track and be one of the fastest cars there. You know, it broke a Nürburgring record at the time.
Mm-hmm.
You can squeeze 4 trolley bags in the boot, which is actually fine for a decent trip, and some stuff on the shelf and around the seats. It's a Mercedes, so it's pretty bulletproof. And even if it isn't bulletproof, there's a dealer network everywhere and a supply system. So I get questions, you know, why did you not take the SF90XX, which we'll get to on that trip? I'm like, you know, as much as I would love to, there's something that you have from the confidence of a Mercedes. Same it would be with a Porsche. You know, GT2 RS, GT3 RS, you could do the same. You just have this confidence that it's going to do everything you ask of it and get you back home, and you don't have anything to worry
German
about.
engineering.
Yeah, they are the best.
They are the best.
Like, I mean, lucky to drive all of these different cars. And it's a car like the Black Series comes at the end of the product line. So it's had all that time for the teething issues with the electrics or with any small and simple things that could end your trip. So effectively, while it is a new engine, a new aero and whatnot, it's not a whole new car. And if you do a trip, you know, if you wanted to do 43,000 miles with a whole new model of car, something's going to happen. Like it's not going to run without needing to be picked up on a truck at least once. That thing, the only issue it ever actually had was an earth strap that failed, so it shut itself down. And it was a bit of a pain to figure out what it was. But as soon as we found it, off you go again. Not expensive.
And how much did you pay for that?
List price. So most of my cars I've owned from new.
Yeah.
Only a couple that I didn't have new. List price was 335,000 in the UK. Flat rate. Every car was the same regardless of how you spec'd it.
Yeah.
Which is an unusual process because it kind of meant you got options you didn't necessarily want. You had to pay for it regardless.
Yeah.
Today's money, my car would be less than that, but a very good one would be a bit more than that still. I think maybe mid 300s probably.
Yeah.
You had a low mileage. Maybe a super clean car could be near a 4.
And you know, every single one that I've had, and I would say I've probably had more than 10, they've all been 1,000 miles or less.
Yeah. So
They've all been 1,000
if
miles
you
or
put
less.
my car in the showroom, would you know where to begin with it? Like, you just stick it up and see what happened.
Shmee's car. That's where you'd start, wouldn't you? That's got to be the angle, hasn't it?
I'm sorry.
The
Get
story.
People come around sniffing the seats.
Well, I'm sorry to say it's got to get to 100k miles first, so we've got some time.
People see the supercars, but they don't see the money and investing decisions behind owning them. Because traditional education is broken and school taught you how to be a slave, not a money master. And that's why over 2 decades I've built a brand new money school. Money.School Gold is my global financial education platform to help you make, manage and multiply more money. The gold level is for people who want to hit 7, then 8, then 9 figures in income and invest for the greatest return and build generational wealth. There are literally dozens of hours of more advanced courses, resources and masterclasses to help you scale your business, invest in property stocks, gold, silver, assets and watches, and of course, cars. So join this exclusive community and global school of other entrepreneurs at money.school/gold. And you can cancel anytime, no ongoing contract, and at just over £1 a day, it's 99.9% less than traditional education. And your kids get free membership. Money.school/gold.
Where do we go next? Should we go through the Ferraris?
Sure.
Ferraris has been an interesting one. Lost a lot of money, made some money, enjoyed it a lot. You know, it depends how you look at it. Obviously, if you're talking purely about the cars, there's something about Ferrari that no other brand can replicate. There's something about the way that they do everything, from the way they know their customers, to the different events they run, to the experience. You know, when you order a new Ferrari, the way you're looked after and treated, and of course there's a variation depending who your sales contact is and whatnot, but there's no other brand that I have experienced that does it the same to that level. And the way they know you, it amazes me. Ferrari put into play this CRM system many years ago, long before anybody else was clocking onto this, that would just mean that they know what each of their customers is into, what cars they've had, what they do with their cars, how they approach cars, what they like. And it means they almost know before you go into the showroom what car you want to order and what spec you're going to go with, or what events would be suitable for you. And I enjoy that so much. And I think there's been a traditional image that Ferrari owners are very smarmy and better than everyone else type thing. But I think the current crop of Ferrari owners aren't really like that at all.
Yeah, just a myth. It's just, people get stereotyped with what car they drive.
Yeah, very quickly.
And that's not the case now. I mean, it's very rare you come across one person who has one brand of car. A guy who has a Ferrari also probably has a couple of Lambos, has some Porsche, has a Mercedes. I mean, you're a perfect example. Look at all the different brands that you have. You can't stereotype you as, he's a Lamborghini owner or whatever,
Yeah, well, I don't own a Lamborghini currently.
Well,
but
I want to come to that, but later.
I have done in the past.
Yeah.
So with the Ferraris, I enjoy the fact they have a very good range of cars. So Lambo now do this as well. But, if you look at McLaren, for example, you can't really have a collection of McLarens from a usability point of view because they're all two-seat mid-engine supercars. Whichever model you have, whether it's a Senna or an Elva or a 750S or an Artura, at the end of the day, they all do a very similar purpose, whereas Ferraris have the mid-engine supercars, the big, comfortable Grand Tourer, two-seat GT, a variety of different configurations and seating options. So the Ferrari I've owned for the longest was the SF90. I thought at 450k new with a decent spec, that was a bargain. I thought being able to buy, you've got to remember, this is ordering in 2019. When they came out, that was only 5 years after a 918 Spider, basically even higher performance with a Ferrari badge for less than half the money. It was a bargain of the century. 1,000 horsepower, really cool Ferrari.
Why have they halved then?
I think it's purely an image thing. I think it's
I've
hybrid.
got a theory on why they've halved a little bit.
The early cars had problems. Mine did as well. I had a few issues in its first year. But after getting through that and putting some miles on, it's had no issues for a long time.
Big problem in them cars is two problems. And these are two downfalls that I've lived with, but I'm kind of happy to live with. But if you want a car to use a lot and to do these Euro trips, there's no luggage space. Zero. None.
A backpack.
None. And the buttons are they're so hard to use.
Yeah. I mean, they've resolved that with the new cars, and you can order the retrospective steering wheel.
Now they're going back to actual physical buttons, aren't they? But this is like a touchpad, like a sensor. And when you're not using that specific part of the car, it becomes not illuminated anymore. So you can't see what you want to press. So that panel's black, and you think, I'll press it, and then when you press it, it's not quite getting it, and you don't have to turn your heating up and heating down the radio. I sold one to a guy. He was 65 years old, and he loved the look of the car. I sold it to him at an annual barbecue we have, and he called me. He called me up 2 days later. He's like, Carl, I can't turn the radio down on this car. It's been loud for 2 days. I don't know how to turn the radio down. How do I turn the radio down? I said, behind the steering wheel, there's a little thing. And you've got to use the car, know the car, and learn the buttons. But if you're one of these people who does 1,000 miles a year, which a lot of people do in a car like that, they're very awkward to use.
But how can that make it half?
I'm only looking at the downsides.
I think-
That's the only thing I'm
that's what I
thinking
mean.
about.
But how
think-
can that make it half?
I think combining those two and
Is there the
as you said too,
electric image fear
yes,
thing,
I was going to
hybrid?
say those two things are certainly the usability problems. My solution to the luggage space, we did a road trip with it. I put a ski box on the top.
Perfect.
I painted it to match the car, put a ski box on. I'm going to tell this story because it was really funny. I went to the media launch test drive of the Purosangue, and I had told our contacts at Ferrari, I'm going to bring the SF90 and I'm going to put a ski box on the top. And I think it just went completely over everyone's heads because who would do that? Why would you do that? So when we pulled up at the front door of the hotel, the look on everyone's faces was just, what? What have you done here? But it was fun to prove that, it was in a ski resort, 4-wheel drive, comfortable,
Kills the aerodynamics, though.
Yeah. No, that trip, I measured it. We did 23 mpg.
Yeah?
Down to Italy and back.
Really?
Which actually is crazy, but that's not what you buy a 1,000 horsepower supercar for. No, the biggest, by far and away, problem is hybrid.
Yeah.
You know, we've gone through a phase where, same with electric cars, it was cool for a hot minute. You know, like there was a moment where everyone was quite excited, you know, especially because they hadn't yet depreciated heavily and money was readily available post global shutdowns. So everyone was quite buzzing about the idea, and lots of people went out and bought EVs and whatnot. And now we're in a phase where people are just worried about batteries, just worried. And I think it's a generational thing that will change. But I think a lot of, you know, older collectors, they know they love the old stuff, just scared of the new stuff.
We have to accept the fact that hybrid is no longer a bad thing, because electric is a bad thing. So let's stay away from full electric cars.
Yeah.
And let's just be happy with a hybrid.
Is this a sales pitch?
Yes.
You mean you're not running out to go and order the new electric Ferrari?
I'm not. I'd walk before I drove an electric car, and I don't care what it is.
All right. So what next in your election?
So if we continue the Ferraris, next in was the 296 GTS.
You missed the dinosaur.
Well, I was going to go in chronological order.
Okay.
So the next oldest is the 296 GTS.
Yeah.
296 is another car that has been hit hard for no good reason, because I genuinely believe, I said it about the 296 when it came out, and I say it about the 296 Speciale now, one of which I have coming for the future. They are the best supercar you can buy for road driving, for, let's say, living with and using. You've got luggage space. They now have buttons on the newer ones on the steering wheels. They have an amazing sounding engine. As soon as you get over the fact that it's only a V6, you've driven one, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Have you been in a 296
No.
one? The sound is unbelievably good.
Right.
Like, it's really a nice engine sound.
Yeah.
And just everything about them, they're great to drive. They feel lively. They feel exciting.
Yeah.
They've made quite a lot of them.
They're a bit ugly.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Oh, I love the link to, like, so much of it.
I
If you
think
put it
they're
next to an old
ugly.
250 LM or something from the 60s,
I see where you're going, especially the rear quarter. If you're looking at
the bridge across
Yeah,
the back
yeah,
is like
yeah.
the old Dino, the
But
arches.
I think that I agree with you completely. They're a great car to drive, and they're a great. I also look at a car as what you get for your money.
Yeah.
So for sub 200 grand,
Oh, for a GTB under 200, it's
that is a great car. It's a fantastic car. Get over the fact that it's a V6. It does sound great. It drives incredible. It is a bit ugly, in my opinion, but great value for money. And if you wanted to buy a car that's it is a supercar. It's most definitely a supercar, and I think it's the best value for money supercar you can buy.
Yep. Do you like the Speciale, the new Speciale?
I do like the new Speciale. I don't like the new price, and I don't know
Expensive.
where I think they're going to go initially. I think so.
How much are they?
If you spec up a coupe, you'll get to 450, maybe a touch higher. If you go crazy, you're in the 500s. The Aperta, you're into 500, even with a fairly basic spec.
And you could go to 600 with an Aperta.
Do you think they'll drop?
Substantially.
Yeah.
So what I must get a message every other day asking, do I think, I can get an allocation? Do you think it's a safe place to put my money? And I always feel that question has answered itself. If you can get an allocation, then it's not.
I was about to
the
say.
paradox,
I was
isn't
about
it?
to say the same thing. I bet these people have no right to get an allocation for a special Ferrari,
Yeah.
and they have an allocation for a 296 Speciale.
Well, the idea.
And they're asking you about it, so they're worried about it.
Yes, and that tells you immediately that, okay, if you're only thinking about it with a financial mindset, that car is done.
Yeah.
So you have to go into it with the what's it going to be like to drive. And an interesting comparison I made in a video a couple of months ago, which I never realized how many people hadn't clocked, is that you go back 10 years, right? The 458 Speciale, which we're going to come to, they were selling under list because dealers couldn't get rid of them.
Mm-hmm.
Cars were readily available. They were trading down. And it's amazing how in 10 years we've forgotten that that's normal. That's just what even, not a massively limited car, they made nearly 3,000 of them, but even a pretty limited car, GT3 RS 4 litres, all the cars from that period 10 years ago, they weren't sold out cars. And we're kind of back at that now, and it's just what cars do, and people are kind of completely oblivious to the fact that only 10 years ago that was normal.
I have
But
the same people tell me, cars are struggling, aren't they? The car business is not doing well. I'm like, the car business is doing exactly what it's done for the last 35 years.
Yes.
We just had a crazy 3 years.
And you forgot what normal was.
And you forgot what normal is. Normal is not buying a Range Rover Sport, driving it for 6 months and earning 10 grand. That is not normal. And everyone done that. And, cars are just doing what cars do.
Yeah. And it's, the really special, really rare stuff, Daytona SP3,
Yeah.
taken off 3 or 4 times new price.
My favorite car.
The reality
Is
is
it?
stunning. The reality is normal production models that somebody can just walk into a dealer and buy, even if you walk into a dealer and buy one used car and it gets you an allocation. Anybody can do that, right? A special is something where you've had a relationship for many years and they called you yourself privately to say, do you want this next car? Da, 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 da. Those are the special cars.
Yeah.
I mean, they have to still be good to drive and worth it at the end of the day.
But then you find yourself in a position where you're massively up financially on the cost of the car, but
Not if you say
you can't sell it because then you completely destroy your relationship. So it's
But it's an
I
asset.
think Ferrari won't have it if you sell one special.
if you had a say an SP3 Daytona or a new F80 or something like that, and you sell the car, the reason the prices are so high is it needs to be at a figure where someone is willingly happy to walk away from their relationship with Ferrari, because Ferrari will not supply them another car.
Yeah. I think it's the same with
Is that
Rolex,
smart brand, or is that arrogance?
I think it's the natural progression of any luxury good, because I think that they know when they can produce a car that's really at that level, the demand and values. It's almost like they're giving you that check. Here, buy our car for 2 million. It's
And there's
worth
£1 million
£6.
quid.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they know when you get that car, they're literally giving you a gift of whatnot. So I think you might say it's arrogance, but I think it's also kind of fair that they therefore expect you to.
And I suppose it might affect the credibility, I suppose, of that particular car if people just keep turning them over.
I mean, you see that with lots of models. Senna, great car, great potential, but a lot of people bought it, flipped straight out of it, and the market.
Yeah.
Well,
collapsed
they
below
halved.
list, and that's what it does.
They literally halved, didn't they?
Right.
So because you have that, and because McLaren kind of just allocated to whoever came along. I had a Senna, I lost money on a Senna, so I've got the experience of this. It meant that you had enough people who did just put them straight up on the market, that the value of the car was down, and it will never, the UK cars, a good one today might trade at 800, but they were 800 when they came out 6 or 7
More.
years ago. And there's been 30-40% inflation at that
Yeah.
time. So 800 is no longer a good price for a Senna.
So you could argue it's good brand management then.
I think Ferrari's brand management is very important. And I think when you're lucky to be part of it, and I think I'm now in that, I don't know how to describe it, but owning 6 Ferraris, obviously have a lot of dealings with them. When you're part of it, you understand it more. If you respect them, they respect you. And it does go both ways, because if you do build your collection, drive your cars, and they're actually now focusing on what mileage you do with your cars. So Ferrari are putting more of a bias towards customers who do drive them, not just buy it, stick it in a corner and never use it, which I find fascinating, and I guess hopefully works in my favor because I'm the idiot who does so many miles. But as a result, you understand more of how they work, and they treat you very well because of it. The events they bring you to, the involvement you have, the opportunities to, I've been lucky to go and see cars off camera. Obviously, I have to tell them I'm Tim today, not Shmee, right? Because as soon as somebody who normally makes videos comes along to something private, everyone has a heart attack, a panic, full panic stations. But I've been lucky to go to things and see future products in a really cool environment with the very top level people from the company. And at the scale of Ferrari, to still offer that to the customers makes you feel really close to the brand. And it is exciting because, we've all been kids who dreamt of Ferraris.
There's no other car brand like it. And you say, is it arrogance? I think that's what adds to the want of being a Ferrari owner. I think that adds to somebody who thinks, I want to be part of that really
club.
arrogant
I want to be treated
company.
like a bitch.
Yeah.
I'll be your
I want you
bitch.
I want you to take my money and tell me what I can and what I can't do with my car.
I think there's a slightly funny thing, which is that dealers do it differently. A lot of Ferrari is managed centrally, like I mentioned, with how well they've managed customers, but there are still differences from one dealer to another. And there are certainly dealers who will straight say to a customer, we can only get you one of those if you buy this, this, and this, right?
And that's surely wrong.
That I believe is wrong. I have never had Ferrari tell me you have to buy this car if you want that car. It's logical that you wouldn't get an SF90XX if you didn't own an SF90 before, right? does that take a genius? They're not going to let somebody just walk in who's never owned a Ferrari or something like this. So little bit of common sense with it. But I get constant like, oh, they must be telling you to buy this. They must be telling you to buy that. And it's never been the case for me. I've never once, ever had Ferrari tell me I have to buy this car.
Because Porsche dealers have been doing that a fair bit, haven't they?
Oh, they've got a storage unit in Stuttgart full of about 7,000 Taycans. So they need to get rid of them one way or another.
Yeah.
And blackmail is one of them.
I mean, Mark McCann pulled out the stops with this by literally revealing that if he bought 3 Taycans, he'd be straight at the top of a GT3 RS queue.
But then we worked out together. We'd done a video together. He asked me if I brought you these 3 Taycans tomorrow, how much would I lose? I said, you'd lose about 170 grand on the 3 cars. And he was like, okay, no problem. How much overlist do I have to pay you for a GT3 RS? And at the time they were overlist. I said, you got to pay me 100. So he was like, I'm 70 grand better off just buying one today from you. Yes, you are.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
But that's what creates the market. Because even, I think one of the really interesting things between the XX and the regular SF90 is there's about a 5x price difference at the moment.
Which is another reason why the SF90 is so cheap.
Yes.
He's got 3 in stock, remember? So you just have to like...
I'll happily buy yours. I'll have 4 in stock if you want me to. I'll happily buy yours.
We'll talk. The reason for it, though, is that to get one of these, you had to be at the VIP Ferrari Collection. Like you just mentioned, if you do flip straight out of it, you're going to nuke the chance to get whatever the next cool car is that you want. So that pulls the prices up. Ignoring the fact that I actually think it's a phenomenal car. I've done more miles in mine than most people would. It's at 3K. And you put that, you kind of put that all together and you have these weird quirks. But anybody who's in the club to have secured an allocation for one of these has been living that and knows how that works and has felt that. Now, I think with each of these different cars, every, I'm going to say case is a little bit different. How one person experiences a brand is always going to be different to another. Like I've not had great experiences with Porsche dealers. I'll be very open with that. That's why I don't own a Porsche. If a Porsche dealer had looked after me really well, this garage might have 5 to 10 Porsches in it.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? But that my life and trajectory of car buying might have been very different. I've been looked after very well by Mercedes, by Ford, by Ferrari. So there's a bias towards those brands in this garage. Similarly, the next Ferrari I bought was the Purosangue. He really doesn't like them.
I like the
So
Purosangue.
can I rewind here? My first Ferrari was an FF. I had a Lusso after that, which I sold to buy a Taycan. I sold the Taycan to buy another Lusso. So for me,
They were 4 financial nightmares.
Well, no. First FF, I only lost about 10 grand on.
Okay.
2 years and lots of miles.
But that wasn't, you ever bought that new?
No, not new. New. No, I bought a 3-year-old car that had sunk 50%.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. The first Lusso, maybe I lost about 40 on, like a car that was 2 years old or something like that.
Yeah.
Second Lusso was again a couple of years old. Maybe it was 3 or 4
What
years
did
old.
you like about them?
V12.
Yeah.
Practical. Could
Ugly,
take a bunch of friends.
Really ugly.
I disagree. I
Okay.
love the bread van style. That hatch, I think, we grew up with hot hatches and hatchbacks. It's like the hottest of hot hatches.
I also think it's ugly, but it's a great car.
Okay.
And I think the Purosaurus.
Yeah, the Purosaurus, exactly.
The Purosaurus, I
the
think,
most overpriced car.
No.
Surely this
No,
ever
no.
made.
I-
It just doesn't
I
even
think-
think it's an SUV. It doesn't know
It's
what
not
it
an
is.
SUV.
Exactly, it doesn't know what it is.
So what it is,
I think
It's a hybrid of a hybrid of a hybrid.
I think a
it's not
Puro,
a hybrid.
No, but as in,
I know.
you know what I mean.
I think a Purosangue makes.
You've changed your tune. You
makes-
did not like them. You were dissing them in your own
I
showroom.
don't like them at 450 grand, but now they're low 3s. I like them because now I compare them to a Urus Performante, and I think, what would I rather have? Well, number one, Ferrari, the brand is far more attractive to me than Lamborghini is, and I'm a fan of Lamborghini, but Ferrari's Ferrari. It's a better car than a Urus Performante. It looks better. It drives
Yeah,
better.
but you could get a normal Urus for a lot less.
Well, you could, but that's not what I'm talking about.
You performance-wise, is that better than a normal Urus?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Dynamically, massively.
Yeah.
Mid-engine. Front mid. The weight balance.
V12,
the steering.
6 litre. We're talking about a Urus, which is 4 litre V8.
So having done lots of miles in between my FF and 2 Lussos, I'd done about 30, 40,000 miles. So cars I've driven a lot and used a lot. And for me, I always viewed from day one the Purosangue as effectively an 812 with a little bit more practicality. Not an SUV, not for off-roading, not for da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah. Okay.
A V12, very premium Ferrari. And I say that specifically because any other player other than the Rolls-Royce, any other player is parts shared from another brand. You get in the Ferrari, everything is Ferrari. You get in the Rolls-Royce, everything is Rolls-Royce, right? So it gives you a very distinct feel and smell and excitement of it from the very beginning. I particularly liked about the Lasso and the FF the way that they drive. You know, front mid, V12, dynamically very well set up. They are Ferraris. They're not, you know, first and foremost, they are Ferraris. And the Purosangue is the same. The Purosangue's suspension is the big thing. There is no other car on the road that has a suspension as clever as the Multimatic dampers in that car. And as somebody who, I guess, as a job, drives lots of different cars, right? And it's my job to report on how the tech and how the systems are working. The way that thing picks up and handles any tarmac change or anything on the ground, there's nothing that comes close. The best car on the market in terms of suspension is the Purosangue. The second best car is the Mustang GTD. And they're both Multimatic's top-level system. So for me, I just find it has a smoothness to it when you want it to, but then it has a dynamic capability that you completely forget it's over 2,000 kilos and can have 4 people in it. You could go and track that thing and you'd get out and be like, that was cool.
Yeah.
Which, as a driver first, you know, I don't have a family, I don't have kids, I don't need an SUV. For me, it's not an SUV. For me, it's my luxury car, not a daily, because it's still a very expensive V12 Ferrari. It's not a daily, but what it is a car that I can go to, and if I happen to be, you know, go meet up with friends and they're going to catch a taxi and I've got 2 back seats, I can take them, drop them off somewhere. You know, that's what it is for me. And there's nothing else on the market that comes close to it. Nothing.
Okay, and you bought it new.
I've had it from new. I've had it for nearly 2.5 years.
What'd you pay for it?
So I got it at the first price list, and this is definitely a thing. So any, I guess, big Ferrari collector got it at the first price, and the first price, the base was 310, and the options were, quite a lot of them were included. So the big options, I think, for resale are the glass roof, which is hugely expensive, and the carbon arches. That seems to be like the cheaper cars on the market don't have those 2 options. And I paid just over 380.
Right.
So I look at it as, I know how much an FF and a Lusso lost when they were new. So if it's anything that doesn't start with like a 1 after 2.5 years, I'm happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I would have expected it to be 200.
Well, the same car today with your spec is 450.
Yeah, it's a huge increase if you think
You know,
about it.
they hiked them up. I think 50 grand plus VAT. They put them up
Wow.
in one price increase.
And
So
all the
you hate-
options. All the options got a lot more
They
expensive.
went up 10%. I think all the options.
But even more, so paint colors in particular. Ferrari basically bumped all the old paint colors that used to be like 10 grand options into 25 grand options. So everybody inadvertently ends up spending
Gotta
15
love
grand
Ferrari,
more.
man.
Wow.
They are
Gotta
cheap.
love Ferrari.
I think we're heading towards a world where people do turn around and just order their cars black and do color change PPF.
Yeah, well, that's the new thing,
Right.
isn't it?
Because
This
why
colour
would,
change.
like, I have a car coming where it's, you know, the Speciale and it's an expensive paint color we're looking at and then some stripes on top. And all of a sudden I'm like, I'm spending 47 grand on paint on the outside of a car. And I'm like, I could do color change PPF for a couple of grand. And yeah, but then it wouldn't have
feel
the
the same,
value
though, would
because
it?
it's a very rare limited series
Yeah, yeah,
Ferrari.
And I think a special Ferrari like your XX or like a 812 Competizione or something like that.
Good spec.
They
makes the car.
do make a premium in premium colors.
Yeah.
You know, a Rosso Corsa XX. I don't think there's much want out there for that car. You know, people want the Rosso Magma or the 2007 F1 or
And a spec that was really thought about.
yeah,
I think you can tell if it's a lazy spec
yeah.
when you look at a car.
Black
And
on black.
A lazy spec which just has regular factory options feels like nobody really cared about it. Or
Resale spec.
bought to flip,
Yeah, resale spec.
and it makes it less desirable.
Mm.
Yeah, so we can fight about Purosangues all day.
Well, no, you're the guest.
I've done 8,000 miles on it.
You're the guest and
It's
you
got-
love it.
It's got winter tires on it.
Yeah.
I love it. Taking it to the mountains, taking it on a ski trip.
I'm
Do you
warming
not-
up to them.
So you hated them at 450, but you like them under 350.
That's
Is
the
that
way
what-
my mind works.
I know. I know you now. You love everything cheap.
Value. I like
Yeah,
value.
you do.
I like value.
Yeah.
Value. I'll go into a shop and I'll see a t-shirt or a jumper or a pair of trainers, a pair of shoes, whatever. And I'll think, they're nice. How much are they? When it's twice the amount of what I thought it represents, I don't like it anymore. When it's the price that it does represent and I'm happy to pay it, I like them shoes. I'm going to buy them. I might buy 2 pairs.
No, I get that.
I get that too.
We judge
value
things on-
driven. Is,
yeah.
I'm value driven.
Yeah.
And at 450, I don't like them.
Yeah.
At low threes, which is what they are now, I like them.
Okay.
I also like that they try things. I like that they try things with design. It's not just the same old, same old, same old. And this goes again to the Ferrari collector thing, because most of your buyers of this have had an 812 and an F12, and they want something that's different. They don't want another of the same. Otherwise, they're just going to keep the 812, right?
Mm.
And Ferrari are looking, I actually would be really interested to know the statistics for Ferrari of what percentage of Ferrari cars are sold to people who have more than however many. What percentage of Ferrari cars are sold to people who own 5 or more Ferraris?
I would say a large
say
percentage.
It's probably quite a high number. So somebody looking in from the outside who's, dreaming of owning a Ferrari, as we all would have been, for example, at a younger age, they're looking at it as that might be their only car. Whereas the reality is somebody who buys that actually has a couple of others as well, generally.
Yeah.
And therefore it's part of a collection. So they want something that's a little different. And that's why I choose the specs of my cars. And I see this with the comments online. People don't understand maybe why I went for that in light gold, but I knew that's going to sit in my collection along with my Pura Sangue in navy blue, which is an elegant spec. So that's more a slightly subtle, less brash, less in your face.
They're all different.
Daily spec. Whereas that is intentionally in line with the design of the car, a retro throwback. In fact, we copied the spec from an old 365 GTB4.
I've had a 365 GTB4 in that color.
With that interior?
With brown tartan interior.
Oh, with brown tartan, okay.
It was awful. It was awful.
Well, mine's cream and cream and brown inside.
Well, also, Ferrari, I also had a Ferrari 488 70th anniversary.
Okay.
That was a throwback to the 365 GTB motor show car, which was also gold with brown and tartan interior. Okay. That was also awful. But
each to their own.
Each to their own, yeah. So I know that spec and that color. I know exactly where it comes from. And not a lot of people would get it because they don't follow the history or their knowledge doesn't go back that far on Ferraris. Obviously mine does, yours does. We're anorex when it comes to cars and Ferraris and stuff. And I follow Ferrari just so close. They're my favorite brand.
Yeah. And then, after that comes the SF90XX.
Yes.
And when I saw that obviously off record before it was public, I obviously was like, this is really cool. How do I get one? But I was a bit worried whether people would think it was way too much for a Ferrari.
Because that's the first Ferrari.
No, the design.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That's the first Ferrari that has a fixed spoiler.
Since the F50.
Well, you see, the F50...
And that's part of the body, not
yeah,
a spoiler.
and the F40, that's part of the body. That's not a genuinely, by itself, standalone spoiler. There's not another Ferrari that has that.
Which is crazy.
Which
they just went
crazy.
full on with it. And part of that is why I spec'd it in a really in-your-face colorway, because my idea was the design is ridiculous to begin with, and like I just said, it's part of a collection with other cars in different specs. This is a special occasion.
I love
car.
it. I think the spec's amazing.
I think it's amazing.
Full send.
Great.
Yeah. You've committed.
Yeah, exactly. I committed, but I'm very happy.
Full send.
I like
no lube.
I like going bright and bold. And then my latest Ferrari acquisition is the 458 Speciale, and I timed that well. I bought that about 6 months ago. 310,000 it cost me. I bought it at an auction or after it had been at an auction. And you always worry if there's going to be something you have to fix up and whatnot. Luckily, it got a pretty clean bill of health, just some new fluids. But that market moved fast in recent months.
I don't know when this episode's going out, soon I'd assume. But, in the last, say, 2 months, those cars have gone up 100,000.
Yeah. I'd like to take a little bit of credit for that. I think when I revealed mine in October, and at the point I revealed it, even just on Auto Trader, there were like 12 cars. And, you could get low 300s would get you some.
Yeah, low
high
300s
would get you a really good one. And I thought this was what I paid was top at the time, but I was like, these are so cheap for what they are as a car. And especially when you start looking globally and you're like, in the US, this would be an $800,000 car. And here it's £300,000. Like, there's got to be something that's about to swing. So I was like, if I'm ever going to get a 458 Speciale, it's like now or never. And, obviously bought that car. And then by Christmas, I think there was one left on Auto Trader at the lower price. Now there are a couple that have popped back onto the market, and like you say, they're in the 400s. And
wow,
it's a timing thing. There's a little bit the auction of the Ferrari Big Fives that have run through in the last month or two that have all gone mad as well. But I think people are at that point where, again, like I said earlier, we're scared of the future. That's a naturally aspirated V8, beautiful looking Ferrari that there aren't that many of. Like, there's only one way that's going, because a lot of us had them on posters when we were younger.
Yeah.
I've just, I'm surprised you haven't got one actually. I bought 4 months ago. I bought a Ferrari 360 Challenge Stradale in Argento Nürburg,
Yeah.
UK supplied, one of 5 only to the UK in that color.
Do you know how I know this?
Go on.
That you have this, because I've had more than enough DMs.
Oh, right, okay.
About it.
So I've now taken that car off sale. It was for sale with me initially at 250,000. It's done 10,000 miles. It's a great example. I then thought, this is way too cheap. I'm putting the price up. So I put it up to 275. Didn't have a phone call. Did not have a phone call. I then researched the market around the world, because I'm scratching my head. I've got 75 cars, and I'm scratching my head why this one specific car hasn't sold. I don't know why it hasn't sold. And I researched the global market, and in America, they're a $700,000 car. And I'm thinking, these are about to blow. So I've took it off sale.
Yeah.
And since I've taken it off sale, I've been offered 3. I've been offered low 3s to sell it. It was for sale for 250 3 months ago.
Yeah.
I've been offered low 3s. I'm like, you know what? I think, obviously, Speciales took a massive jump. Pistas have now took a massive jump. I sold a Pista this morning for big money, but it's probably not, because they're going
Give it 3
as well.
months, yeah.
And I'm going back
What
to
did you sell it for?
360,000,
Right.
which for a Pista is a lot of money.
Yeah.
5,800 miles.
Yeah.
You think that car would be, well, not long ago it was probably sub 3. And I'm looking at this Challenge Stradale, which is rarer than the pair of them, and it's in that era where those cars from late 90s to early mid 2000s, they're in demand at the minute. In every aspect of brands. BMWs, you find BMW M3s, they've doubled in price from that era. E46s, that kind of stuff.
We've not really said it, but if you want to go and order the series production V8 Ferrari Supercar now, an 849 Testarossa, you'll spec it to £500,000.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, your 300k Challenge Stradale is actually a bit of a bargain.
And I look at it and I think that's, I'm not normally in a situation where I'm hanging onto a car and it goes up in the period of time that I've owned it. I've done it recently with the 599 GTO. They're obviously about to blow as well. And I took both cars off sale. And I said, you know what, they're not for sale. And then one of my friends called me and he said, why have you took your GTO off sale? I've looked at it for 6 months. I said, well, I've looked at it for 12 months and I'm sick of looking at it. So I said, so now...
I've looked at your car a bit for a few months as well.
So now I've taken it off sale. He said, oh, sell me the car. And I did end up, I caved in and I sold him the car. But I'll get it back when he's finished. But the 360, I'm just like, it's just now not for sale. And I think I'll put it back on at 400,000. I think that's where they're going.
I agree. I mean, I'm happy about it from my Forfait Speciale point of view.
Yeah. 100%.
I'm not happy about it from the other cars I'd quite like to add to the collection. I think it's funny because this particular Speciale, the only UK coupe in this very unusual Avorio ivory cream paint, which...
Yeah, I mean, it's very, very different. I'm not... What do you think? Bit custody, Rob. What do you think?
Yeah, it looks like a milk that's gone off, doesn't it?
The first day I owned it, I had an offer significantly over what I bought it for to sell it.
I understand why I think if that's your only Ferrari or your second Ferrari, you wouldn't want that colour.
No, I agree with that.
But because you like the rare colours, makes sense for your story. Yeah.
And that's the only one in the UK, that colour?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. There are...
Did you get much hate for that colour?
People loved it.
Did they?
Absolutely loved it.
Can you when you look at it on camera, can you see the colour? Though?
Yes, you can. It does, and it comes across really well on video, which is an interesting topic. As a YouTuber, content creator, it's amazing how car colours can look different on video.
Of course.
Something that in person you think looks amazing, often on video doesn't.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
And it's really, really weird. So I often with new cars try and get paint samples, and I record a video of the samples to watch it on screen myself.
Yeah.
Because there are sometimes, especially with purples and blues, they just look different. Like a purple car can look blue on a camera.
Right.
Like it's weird tricks of the light.
Yeah.
But no, that's had the most amazing reception. Like I say, multiple offers to buy that car.
Right.
I'd be a madman to sell it. Well, I'm not going to lie. The fact that I could probably make $100,000 on it in a couple of months is is kind of appealing. Especially as a privately owned car. It's tax free, right? It's like there's a temptation.
Yeah.
So that's the 6 Ferraris. McLaren 675 LT Spider.
Yeah.
McLaren's a funny company. Love them, but don't get what's happening.
What's
Yeah.
happening?
The company was taken over nearly a year ago. I guess they're figuring out the future. But I think, they had a real height leading up towards 2020. 2015 to 2020, they were new, they were exciting. Obviously, the P1 had been such a big flagship. 675 LT, 600 LT. I've always loved the 620R, the 765 LT. All of these cars have been amazing. Senna in that time, obviously, as well.
They make some good cars.
They made some great cars, but they got plagued with quality issues. They did have a really bad time, for sure, of cars that just didn't live up to how well cars of this price should run. And I think they were, for many people, almost a bit of a try one because it's something different. You've bought Ferraris or you've bought Lambos, you tried a McLaren. But if you were a Ferrari or a Lambo or a Porsche person, you've kind of gone back to where you were and off McLaren. So their sales numbers have been really down as a result. I think they have a business issue, which such a high percentage of the cars they build go to America, to the US. And I think there's a lot of eggs in one basket, which if I speak, look at it purely from a commercial side, I think is a difficult potential in terms of the situation they could be in from it. I think it's more than 50% of the cars go there.
Wow.
Which, the UK, their home country, is a tiny percentage for McLaren.
Yeah.
And it's smaller even than the UK is as a percentage for Ferrari or for Porsche, which is weird.
So why don't you have more McLarens because of all of this?
Because what I said, I think a couple of things. One, I think their products they fall into this trap of being quite samey. I had the 675 LT Spider, which I love, and I've had from new, so it's 10 years old. It's done 20,000 miles last time I took it out, actually. It's a great car because you can run them basically with no warranty. Nothing goes wrong with the LTs. The most bulletproof car McLaren made.
The LT, I didn't want to stop you talking. The LT is a fantastic car.
At £200,000, you can get a nice sorted LT coupe.
I've got one.
Like
Chicane grey.
Like
8,000 miles.
Really good
What,
car.
675?
675 LT.
LT.
It's one of 500 cars, 500 coupes, 500 roadsters. So it's stupidly limited. I mean, 500 cars.
Like, when you think about it, it competed with the Speciale. There are 3,000 Speciale coupes and 500 675
And they're
LT
double the
coupes.
price.
And that's you've got one on for 200.
And you know what? And I think you'll agree. Well, I know you'll agree. The 675 is a better driving car than the Speciale.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
As somebody who owns both, there's not even a comparison.
I don't know many
How they're
cars.
both 2015, I have no idea.
I don't know many cars that are better to drive than a 675 LT.
And even until today, it's really fast.
Yeah.
675
great.
horsepower might drop behind the 800s and whatever, but it's crazy light. So it's, even the Spider is only 1,300 kilos. The coupe is 1,240 or something.
So why are they that cheap?
Because
They have a
what I was
McLaren
saying,
badge at the front of them.
the image of being unreliable, even
Yeah.
though LTs aren't, the similarity of so many models, the fact that the reality is what you can get in a quite cheap 570S isn't that far behind, let alone 650S for 70 grand or whatever. It's not far off that. And all the models since, they're all the kind of same setup.
Yeah.
It's a bit unfair to blanket them all completely like that. But having driven every single car they've made, 540C, 570S, 600 LT, 620R, 12C, 650S, 675 LT, MSOHS, every model from every product line, the differences between them are like in this narrow band, whereas the differences between even Lamborghini, Ursa of Vuelto, right, is like here.
Yeah.
And then your difference between Ferraris are like here, and your difference between Porsches are out there somewhere.
Right, wow.
Just an expanding scale.
Yeah.
McLarens are all, even from one end of the spectrum to the other,
Yeah.
they're all very good drivers' cars that are brilliant on the track, but have a bit of this reputation for not being completely bulletproof, but also not being so collectible.
But that reputation comes from their lesser models because the build quality is awful on the lesser models. On the 540s, the 570s, even the 600 LTs, the build quality is plastic, it's rubbish, it's shit. A 675 or a 765 and a P1 is like they're just made in another factory from another brand. It's not even close to the quality of them is amazing.
I think it's also like what I said with the Black Series. Those are the models that came on a platform where they'd already dealt with the issues.
Yeah.
So they've always been very quick to market, McLaren. I mean, that's why the 675 LT, it's based on the 12C that came out in 2011, right? The 12C that came in 2011 is probably a better car than the 488, which came in 2016.
They did have issues though. They were rushed to market massively. The 12C.
Oh, completely. But I mean, in terms of the technical, carbon tub, the hydraulic suspension, F1 tech in it everywhere you look, the torque steering by braking, everything about it was so far ahead of its time. But that's why they had lots of issues, because small company, new company, they've got no experience to look back at. They don't have that. They didn't ever have that massive development cycle. So it means that the later models at the end of each line, because obviously year by year everything's getting better, really sorted it out. And the 675 LT, I mean, in 10 years and 20,000 miles, that had some paint issues. That was a thing that happened, unfortunately, with every McLaren. Yeah. They didn't use enough of a certain etching something in the early stages. So every car, unfortunately. But outside of that, I had one thermostat, warranty, done, and one battery. Cost me 500 quid. That's it in that car.
Okay.
And it's unfair to look at McLarens. And yeah, for sure, there are some good examples and some bad examples, but LTs are really solid.
All right. So what's next?
Yeah. So LT, Ford GT.
Yes.
We've had some of the Fords, Heritage RS, GT500. Ford GT, to me, built with a story, came back 50 years after the famous 66 race, which obviously everyone knows and is quite remarkable. 2016, they went racing again, won the class at Le Mans, had to make a road production car, released them and built them simultaneously. And it's one of my favorite things about the Ford GT is most new cars are built to please shareholders, right? Most new cars are built, make the company money, make your investors happy, just need to sell them, bank the profit, off you go next. The Ford GT, there are a few cars over the years that have been like this, was built because somebody somewhere ignored the maths that said this was a bad idea and said, let's go racing, let's go win. And that's exactly what they did. I think it's one of the most beautiful cars of recent decades. It came out 11 years ago.
Very different, isn't it?
It came out 11 years ago.
The aerodynamics for a car 11 years ago is unbelievable.
And it just has a lot of presence. It's not particularly fast in comparison with today's cars, but the way it drives dynamically, because so much of it is shared with its race car sibling, so much of the suspension system, the chassis setup, it really, as a driver, connects you very well. It's a very, very exciting car to drive. At slower speeds, it feels a bit awkward, I'm going to say. The sound is a bit weird. The feeling's a bit weird because it's built to be driven hard. It's a race car. But when you drive it hard, the balance is beautiful. Obviously, it's a little V6 again, but it's such a small engine positioned right in the heart of the car.
EcoBoost.
The balance. Yeah, but go slide that thing around. It's wonderful. Trust me. I would know. So the Ford GT's been a big part of my channel and story. And if anybody ever asks me which is the last car I'd ever sell, it's always that.
Which is the last car you'd ever sell?
The Ford GT.
And that's another low mileage example.
Yeah, wonderfully low mileage, just under 20,000. Tracked at multiple race circuits around the world. Been through some things, but that's my car. I was very lucky to get the allocation. Do you remember when they did that online application process?
No.
So when it launched, you had to fill in a big form online. So you had to say, what other cars do you own? What racing do you do? What Fords do you have? What are your plans with it? Do you work with Ford? Are you a supplier to Ford? So you had to answer all of this big interview type stuff. And you could also submit a video with it. So you could make a 60-second video. And this application process was done in April 2016, about a year and a bit after the car had been introduced. And obviously I filled it in. And at the time, I'd never owned a Ford. I had a couple of cars. I had my FF and my 675 LT and a GT4, 981 GT4. And I filled in my application. I said, these are all the events I go to and whatever. And I made a video. And effectively, they had this process to choose allocations. And they allocated the first 500 cars of the production run out of 6,500 applications.
Wow.
6,500 qualified applications for the GTs. So when I heard the number, I was like, okay, my chances are pretty slim because I didn't own an old GT or whatnot. But what I found out later is that there were 12 UK cars and I effectively got the last of the 12. So European GTs were in two batches, the 2018 cars and then the 2021, 22 cars.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
There's nothing in the middle because that's when they went from IVA, no OPF, to newer cars that had to be homologated. So mine was number 80 of 80 of the first European batch. Literally the final car had to be registered by the end of December 18. And it was literally a week or two before, just before Christmas. And the journey I've had with it, because I wanted to make a cool story. Do you know Alan Mann Racing?
Yeah, of course.
So they used to race GT40s, had loads of success back in, 60s, 70s. And obviously GT40s was such a huge thing. In fact, their driver roster back then was like Bruce McLaren, Jackie Ickx. It just goes on with big names. So I actually reached out to Alaman and said, can I make my car as a tribute to yours and you guys and do red and gold? And they were like, oh, we're getting one as well. I was like, oh, okay, we can't really have 2 red and gold ones. There's 2 of the 12 cars. And eventually they went, I think, with silver or something completely different. So I was like, well, can I do the exact color? And they gave me a pot of paint for the gold stripe. So this was the first, and I think only new GT that left the factory with a custom color stripe. The others have a standard set of 7 different color stripes.
Yeah.
They're custom colored cars, but the only one. So, Ford and Multimatic believed in the story. It's the only one that has a custom stitch inside because you couldn't really spec these cars, remember?
Yeah.
It was 5 different interiors. It's basically
2 different color wheels,
and
silver or
carbon
black.
wheels or silver or black wheels.
Yeah.
Like that was it. So it's got a custom red and gold stitch to match the outside. It's got gold shift paddles, all factory suppliers. And I've done so much with it. So for me, the story of the GT itself, I was at Le Mans with Ford in their, area when they crossed the line first and won that race in 2016. I've just felt so connected to the company, and I've met lots of the team, right up to the family. And it's just such a cool family. I love what they do, and I just like the brand. I like that they can make a supercar, a muscle car, a hot hatch, a pickup truck. We have the next vehicle, which isn't here right now, is an MSRT Transit, Ford Transit. It's bright pink, one of one.
Bright pink?
I taught them into factory painting it pink, yeah. It's the only one. Everyone thinks it's a wrap, it's painted.
Yeah.
And we use it for lugging tires and car parts and stuff around and whatnot. And I love that that's all from one brand. There aren't many brands. We talk about the variety of McLarens. I mean, Ford, come on, supercar to truck and pickup.
Yeah.
It's mad. So they're very relatable. Everybody's owned a Ford at some point in their life or started with a Fiesta, or you know what I mean? Like has that feeling. And there's no presumptions on what you are as a driver of a Ford GT. You know what you said earlier? You pull up to a petrol station in a bright Lambo. People make assumptions about you before you've got out of that car.
Before you get out of the car, you're just a dickhead, aren't you?
Yeah. Nobody
to their view, you're a dickhead
because of what car you're driving.
Exactly.
And similar with Ferrari, and similar with Porsche, and similar.
Do you know
with
how many
whatever.
times I've been told I have a very small penis because of the bright orange Lambo that I'm driving?
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't believe this video is still circulating.
Yeah.
But that's what they say. I've literally had people say that to me. You must have a small dick.
Well, I think we all have.
And I'm
driving
like,
Do you want to
cool
put the
cars.
record straight?
And I'm like, what? Why? Why are you saying this? And then they look at this with the car, but
So I had a very funny experience driving in my Hurricane STO that I used to own, where one person somewhere in London, one person on the side of the road shouted that.
Yeah, but there you go. You had it as well.
Yeah, completely. And then somebody on the other side of the road, I can't remember exactly what she said, but it was something like, doesn't matter, can I come for a ride? Doesn't matter.
You see, that's the difference between a man and a woman's perspective of a Lamborghini. The woman doesn't care; she just wants to get in. The man wants the woman to get in his car, but he ain't got a Lamborghini, so he hates you.
It was quite funny. But what I was going to say is nobody has a preconception for what a Ford GT driver is.
Yeah.
There's that look of what is it?
Yeah.
And that's when you explain, it's the modern version of the old 60s Le Mans car. And whether they're old or young, they know a bit about that story and it's cool. So I really enjoy the ownership of it. Like I really enjoy driving it, using it, meeting people, going to events. You had to be a bit nuts to buy one. It was 500 or 600 grand of Ford.
Yeah.
You had to be a type of person to do that. And that means you have something in common with anybody else who has one.
And then
I was going to say there's one more car here we haven't spoken about.
There is.
Not here right now are the daily electric cars, the Skoda and the Alpine.
Yeah.
Brilliant for getting around with. I'm sorry, I'm a petrol head, but I do like just bumbling around in a little electric car. I also own an old Porsche 914.
Right.
Really?
Yeah, which is a bit of a curveball for me. You probably wouldn't expect it. Very much inspired by my partner. She loves Porsches. I don't really gel with modern Porsches. I've owned a bunch. I've had a 718 GT4, 991.2 GT3. I had a Taycan Turbo S. Like, it's not that I haven't done Porsches, but I don't have anything currently. 914's away being restored because I kind of want to go to some classic car events and do something a little bit different. So we painted it Ruby Stone, the famous bold Porsche color.
Yeah.
I found it in a barn at a farm not very far from here, so it cost me peanuts.
How much?
It was about 14,000, I think, for the
Wow.
car. When it's sorted, it will be 30, 40.
Yeah.
That's a nice example, but it takes some time to get that done. I'm being helped by Yorkshire Car Restoration, some nice guys up north who obviously do a lot of these kind of collaborations, and they're helping me with the car. The other car that's here, the big one, the Zenvo TSRS. Big
Interesting car.
Interesting car in so many different ways. Interesting company in so many different ways.
Do you know much about the Zenvo?
Not a lot, no.
Do you know about the active aerodynamics it has?
No.
Explain.
So it has what they call the centripetal wing, which moves. So normally cars pivot forwards, backwards. It moves up, left and right.
Wow.
But the whole wing,
the whole wing
goes to a 45-degree angle. Depends on if you're going around a corner.
Wow.
So the science behind it is that the higher the wing is in the air and above the body of the car, the more downforce you get. So it goes up on the inside of the corner, which is the opposite of what you're thinking from like a boat or something. It goes up on the inside of the corner to press the inside down more.
Yeah.
Now, there was so much debate about whether it works or not. And I have one very simple comment to this, which is that if you are a brave enough person that you are going flat out through a corner in a 1,360 horsepower car that you're on the limit enough to care whether it works or not, you are braver than I am. Because you are going very fast at that point. It's a twin supercharged V8. It's a wild thing to drive. But what I thought was really interesting is that Top Gear actually did a video driving one of the factory cars at the time. And there was this comment that somebody wrote who's clearly a genius, physics, science, I don't know what. And he'd written out all the equations and calculations for it and concluded that it actually increased your peak cornering speed by, I think it was 2.1% or something.
Wow.
And I'm like, that is a number.
Yeah.
You know? So it's I'm going to say it's a bit of a party trick, but I see it like the flaps on the front of the wire.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried, think about the middle point of the car, the flaps are right next to it. That's like trying to open a door pressing near the hinge. You don't do it because it doesn't really do anything.
Yeah. It's got to be on the edges.
I'm sure it does a little bit, but it's more the fact that it's a interesting talking point.
Yeah.
But also that level though, 2.1% is a lot at that level.
I mean, I don't think anybody has driven a TSRS at full speed around a racetrack, and I don't think anybody ever will because
there's only 1 in 4.
It's too much money to throw away. You buy a GT3 race car for 300 or 400 grand and go do that if you want to.
Yeah.
You'll go faster anyway. But cars like the Pagani, like the Zenvo, like the Bugattis, like the Koenigsegg's, these are, I think the best way I can describe them is event hypercars. You enjoy the fact that it can do it even if you're not going to.
Yeah, right. And of all your cars, what percentage of them do you buy cash and do you finance?
Really interesting question, because obviously finance and money matters are unique to a different person. So I do tend to change it around a bit. There are some that are completely outright for necessity. The GT Black series with that mileage and the trips and whatnot. Obviously, for the last 4 or 5 years, if I had finance on it, I'd have a bank screaming over my shoulder saying, what on earth are you doing with this car? Especially when it's been in the US and been in the Middle East. They don't like that.
No.
So something like that's obviously completely outright. There are cars that I've bought on finance initially and paid it off because I've been comfortable to do so at that time.
Yeah.
There are cars that I've owned outright and then refinanced.
Right.
The SLS Black Series, for example, I bought it outright, kept it outright for a while, but did then at one point take a couple of $100 grand refinancing against it because I had another opportunity to put some money into. So it moves around. There's no like one single answer. I would say probably today about 50% of the cars have some money against them.
Right.
It's a no-brainer on something like the XX because...
What, to finance it?
Yeah, because you buy it at list price. It's immediately worth a whole load more.
It's paying for itself.
Why would you not just take...
And do you do the finance with Ferrari on that?
I did in the past. I use a lender, AMF, Approved Motor Finance, because they've been doing my cars since the Ford GT, in fact.
Right.
Well, Krish, who works there, did the Ford GT for me. And at the time, pulling that deal together was very complex because you had to pay a 50% deposit when you bought the car. So I had to get financing for an order, not financing for a physical asset.
Right.
That's complicated. And Krish understands the complexities of my finance because I think one of the peculiarities of, let's say, doing the Shmee150 thing is that the cars in here would normally link to a collector who has far more money to their name than I do because of the fact that this is what I do. So obviously I spend all of my money on cars because that's the means to the content and the means to generating more revenue through the business. As a result, I can expense what I do with the cars. So while the cars are all privately owned, you can, through the tax system, write off deductions against your finance, your insurance, your mileage, depreciation, depending what you do. So complicated with mileage logs and that side of it. But the end result is it kind of makes sense to take some finance if it means I can purchase another vehicle with which I can make content and generate some more revenue. So it's...
Why wouldn't you buy certain cars through your business?
Benefit in kind?
Well, see, that's a grey area on what you do.
In an LLP.
It is true, because every single journey technically
Because let's take the Black Series, for example, okay?
Yeah.
That's a car that you know you're going to lose money on because the mileage that you do in the car at the minute.
Beg to differ, though, because
but,
own it for long enough.
Yeah, I'm on
inflation
about,
does
I'm
its
on
thing.
say from the day you bought it to now.
But
at the
owning through the
minute,
company, you know, if inflation does its thing and you end up selling it for $100,000 more than it cost, you're going to be taxed on that.
But you buy that through a business, which you can prove that this is my business. It's an asset to the business that I can't generate money unless I have this car.
Yeah, 100%. So the car's here.
That's a fact. You're not doing anything wrong or clever. You're just doing the right thing. From the minute you bought that car to now and 50,000 miles later, obviously you have lost money that which you could write off against your earnings. So the car you wouldn't be losing that much service cost, hires cost, everything you can write off against your business. Why?
Well, he's already offsetting a lot of those costs. He's owning the car privately, but offsetting a lot of the costs of using the car through the business.
Can you do that?
So it's not
Yes,
owning,
you can.
Yeah.
So the downside is obviously, if you look at it from a business perspective, is I pay the VAT on every car, etc., which
is a lot of money.
A huge amount of money.
Massive.
You know, it's a 6-figure sum on some of these cars. So that's obviously the massive downside. But against that, you can write off the proportion that you use the car for business. So obviously, I trust my accountants on this. Periodically, we look at, should cars be in a company, would it be beneficial? And the numbers actually end up really pretty evenly. And from a usability point of view, a privately owned car is much easier to manage, especially in a career in an industry that's very confusing to traditional lenders.
All I'm thinking of is the initial purchase.
Yeah. No, I don't.
But it's a good point, though, that if it goes up a lot over time and it's on your balance sheet, you've got a tax bill.
Go the other way. That's
What I'm saying is, though, in order to pay for these cars personally, you have to earn the money through your business. So you have to take money out your business, put it into your personal account, and then pay for it.
Bit more complicated than that. The way it's
Go on, I'm all ears.
Stay in your lane. Yeah.
I'm all ears.
The way
It is a little bit more complicated.
Stay in your lane. Yeah. You do cars, mate.
But I'm trying to work out.
He's asking for himself, I think.
Of course I am. What I mean is, it costs what? 35, 40%?
But maybe I don't run a business.
Well, okay, I'll leave it. Rob.
Self-employed, sole trader.
Are you?
Yeah.
Easiest way to do it.
You're a self-employed sole trader?
Yeah.
Right. And so you expense...
You still have employees, can still, you just earn your income as you earn your income. So obviously sitting down with my accountants, we've talked in the past about should it be through a company, but once you factored in corporation tax and any
But that's where I assumed that was the case, and obviously my assumption was incorrect, which is why I get what you've done now.
It makes sense.
Right, so you're not buying it with after-tax money?
No.
Because that's the biggest expense.
And
that's
what I'm
saying.
talking about,
Yeah, so it's quite interesting. Obviously, being very much in a visible industry, obviously I've had more than my share of dealing with HMRC.
Yeah.
As you can probably imagine, inquiries into different things, running over, proving every expense, etc. But what's really, my dad was an accountant, so I grew up as a kid. When I was like 7 years old, I had a pocket money spreadsheet. Like I was that kid. So since day one, I've always been really on it with the accounting and documenting everything. So it's actually been quite rewarding going through with HMRC and almost teaching them a little bit about social media and about what it is as a content creator.
Because it's quite a new business model.
Completely. Well, they only issued the first ever guidelines they had in 2023.
Right.
First ever guidelines of an industry I had been earning money from for 15 years.
Yeah.
Like, think about how far staggered behind
we
that
had this conversation with Tom Exton.
Yeah.
Same
we
thing.
did.
Like he basically said that he had to tell the HMRC how to conduct
You won't be
themselves.
surprised to know that Tom and I have discussed a lot
there you go.
together about dealing with it. But it's fascinating to sit down with, the folks who come over for meetings. We meet at my accountants and talk through it all and explain how so much of this works and explain that, no, that flight I booked to this place wasn't just because I was going off on a jolly. It's because I was doing a brand deal at the other end that earned me significantly more than the flight cost. And, explaining all of that. And it's the same with the cars. I keep, as you can probably imagine, a specific document on each car of what each car cost me and what each car's made me. So I know very quickly where the cars are that have done well and haven't done well. And there has to be a slight balance because obviously owning cars from different brands opens more opportunities for events, not just because of that car, and more opportunities for, bringing in audience, bringing in viewership. So it's good to have a variety of different brands because then you've got something for more people. And I get a lot of stick recently for all the Ferraris, but I like Ferrari, so...
So this show is called Cars and Money. So let's have a bit of a chat about money. How did you sort of start making your money to get in and be able to afford these cars?
Like a lot of people, my early working years were in all sorts of different things. When I was a teenager, I was buying mobile phones off my friends and selling them on eBay and doing anything I could to, flip and make a profit. I was building computers for people and selling those. And when I left school, the first thing I did was hopped on a plane to the Far East, bought a load of stuff, new phones in Hong Kong, brought them here and sold them on eBay in England, and then actually opened a shop and sold more electronics, consoles and cameras and mobile phones and everything. Then went from that to working in an internship in investment consultancy before going to the French Alps and training to become a ski instructor. So making money was never through one specific means. It was always doing what seemed fun at the time. When I started at uni, dropped out because I just, after doing a load of work things, couldn't deal with paying to be in education. And basically, simultaneously, reached out to the investment consultancy I worked out before. They gave me a job and simultaneously picked up a camera and started filming stuff. And it's funny because having been an avid skier, we would always film each other doing stupid stuff, young 20s. If you're going to go upside down in the air, you might as well have a camera rolling in case it goes wrong. Some great moments. Unfortunately, one of which did go wrong when I did my back.
Oh, is that how you done your back?
Yes.
Oh, right. Okay.
But it also
Was that
got
an airlift out job?
No, because nobody realized how bad it was.
Oh.
I didn't even realize how bad it was. All I knew was that I couldn't move.
My brother done exactly the
Quite a
same
fun
thing.
incident.
He broke 2 vertebrae in his back through skiing.
Yeah, I was literally lying on the snow, couldn't move. They were like, just sit up. And I was like, I can't. And I got put in a bed and taken down.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've done a lot of skiing in my life. I did 3 ski seasons and, I've spent a fair bit of time around it. So I'm kind of familiar with that process. But working back in the investment consultancy at the same time, I was really getting into filming more. And when you're in England and, on a commute between living in West London, where I had been at uni, and the city, I would see cool cars all the time. And I was obviously always into cars. So what I started doing was just pulling up. I'd cycle, just pull up, walk around, film a little video, stick it on the internet. And obviously, I knew it was fun. I really enjoyed the comments. I think that was one of my favorite things. I'm sure you see this as well, is how you can share something that people around the entire world with every kind of background or every situation can all engage with. And especially with cars, because if they like cars, you live and breathe and talk the same language. So I really enjoyed being able to connect with people through sharing an SLR or a 599 GTB or something like that. Just walk around it, upload a video. And it wasn't for a very long time before the YouTube side started earning any significant money. I think a year or two in, the first paycheck was like 60p, which sounds
like Rumble now.
Yeah, sounds great. And then the next one was maybe £3.50.
Yeah.
Like, I'm doing well here. This is something, but it did build up. And when it started becoming a couple £100, all of a sudden you're like, oh, this is a cool side gig. Start going out and filming a little bit more, going to more events. I mean, I was going to car events anyway because I love going to car stuff, but starting doing it more and more properly. But it wasn't probably until about 3 years in, and videos back then were very different to now. They weren't, really well edited.
Just raw.
It was raw. It was a couple of minutes of a raw clip or maybe a montage. Go to Goodwood, film 20 cars go past. That's one video. You know what I mean? So I'd uploaded about 1,000 YouTube videos before I earned any significant money out of it. But even at that point, we're talking 2013, 2014, maybe I was getting to £1,000 a month, which was enough to be, this isn't a full-time salary, not what I've been financing my Aston, and then I had an R8 afterwards. But it's something as a supplementary income. It's going somewhere.
Can you remember your first video that like really took off and you earned some serious money on?
There have been loads over the years, but the first really big viral in 2013 was a video of Eric Clapton's one-off Ferrari.
Yeah.
SP12 EC coming out of the HRO showroom, out of the switchable glass in the showroom. And it did a couple of million views, and it's interesting comparing to today, because a couple of million views today is significantly more lucrative than it was then.
Can you remember what it earned you?
I would say probably that one video earned me £1,500 or something like that.
But what would a couple of million views earn you now?
I mean, 3 million views today, even with no sponsor or something behind it, is going to do 50 grand today.
Wow.
So it's a massive shift. I mean, we're talking, 12 years, 13 years separation. But that advertising side and advertisers going to YouTube as a content platform has changed. But not only that, also, the type of content and the way that I create content is more advertiser targeted and tailored. Just people knowing the channel. You know this, if brands go to set up an ad campaign online, they can choose where they want it to go. I'm very lucky that it seems a fair few brands target my channel. So that was definitely a moment where I was like, wait a second, this could really work. But it wasn't until a year after that, in 2014, when I uploaded a fairly famous video of an Aventador crash. You've probably seen it. Sloane Street, it takes off, flies a bit.
Oh, yeah, the black one.
Yes. Yeah, that video is on my channel. It's done a lot of views.
You filmed that?
It's a funny story. I didn't actually film it. At the time, I was toying with being a publisher, not just a content creator. So I would buy videos from people to post them.
Yeah.
So that actually happened just up the road from where I lived, because I was renting a flat there to be near the cool cars. So I'd moved from being further west to being near Sloane Square, because you're down the road from Harrods and Sloane Street, and all the crazy period back then of the cars from the Middle East. And I heard, it was on Mother's Day, so I was actually out of London with my parents for lunch, and I heard about it. So I sent a message to a friend in the area, could you go along and just have a chat? And he mentioned that somebody he saw there had actually filmed it happening, but hadn't got any contact info from them. So I uploaded a little clip of the damaged car with a comment saying, does anybody know who might have the video of this? And anyway, the chap who had filmed it reached out. And I ended up paying him a fairly decent amount. I gave him a portion of what it earned.
Can you remember what it earned?
I mean, it's kept going and kept going. It's in 5 figures now. But interestingly, even though the YouTube video has nearly 40 million views and it's been ripped off probably 1 billion views total on social media, obviously advertisers and brands don't want to be connected with an accident.
Yeah,
it's controversial, it's negative, it's not good for their image. So what's super interesting about it as a result is that video with 40 million earns less than a very positive video with 1 million.
Right.
Like, it's really interesting.
Yeah.
So it did wonders for the channel in terms of audience growth, in terms of just being known. And I look at it as, well, I'm not proud of the accident being the most viewed video on my channel. I am proud of the fact that I guess I had the foresight to purchase that content, to be able to use it, and ultimately to bring in a lot of subscribers. I don't know how many, but that video must have brought in tens of thousands of subscribers just from that, which ultimately then watch all the other content.
It was a mad crash.
And it's one of those videos, because it's a left-hand drive car in London. The first person who gets out is the female passenger, and obviously in the right-hand side. So it kicked off in comments because people are stupid and
thought it was a woman driving.
Make all sorts of generalizations and stupidity. But it obviously went hyper-viral as a result.
Wow.
So that was like a real experience of, wow, this is virality.
What's the most you've earned in one video?
Ooh. Oh, it will be a lot more than you think.
I'm thinking quite a lot.
No, but for people who don't know YouTube, I've had a couple of videos that have done 3, 4, 5, 6 million views that are very long, very engaging, and very heavy on the right audience demographic for high revenue. So middle-aged American, let's say. I think I've probably got a couple of videos that are in the 50 to 100K region from a single video.
It's a heavy video.
Yeah. You'll be on to me going, when are ours going to do that?
Exactly.
That's why we're going to do 5 hours here with Tim.
Unfortunately, that's not so easy to replicate. If I went down to how many videos have earned more than 10K, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Hundreds of videos have probably earned more than 10K.
Right. And you've done
I won't.
My channels.
Yeah, you've done thousands of videos, haven't you?
It's about 7,000 videos.
Yeah.
So on average, it's basically one a day for 16 years. My total channel, YouTube alone, long form videos, is like 1.2 billion views. Just long form, not shorts. Shorts is billions more.
Yeah.
Just
That's
long
mad.
form.
That's like one of them
insane.
statistics where like Erling Haaland needs to score 35 goals for the rest of his life to equal Ronaldo.
Yeah.
That's like that kind of thing.
It's insane.
You know?
Part of it is due to having done this for so long.
Yeah.
Because, obviously you have lots of creators now who are absolutely making amazing videos. Mark McCann, Matt Armstrong, some amazing, amazing, amazing stuff. And while my channel might not be the biggest today, I've been making content for so long, and there's such a big baseline of content.
Yeah.
Even if I switch off and don't upload, the channel still does a few million views in a month because the content's still there.
So your revenue just keeps coming in.
Yeah. So it's, obviously I've tried to create content that will work in perpetuity.
Yeah.
A lot of the videos are around a theme, around a story, around a model of a car, around that kind of thing. So it's not like you have to watch it today and then it's irrelevant tomorrow. So I've kind of tried to grow it that way.
Yeah.
But, the interesting thing is obviously ad rates, like I said, have grown over time. You can do some kind of quick maths on an average of 1.2 billion views and what the rate is per million. And you can kind of work out how this happens.
Yeah. So this is a question for both of you, but we'll start with Tim.
Okay.
Who's lying about their car collection online?
Oh, that's very finger pointy. I think there are plenty of people who are in different circumstances. There are a lot of, especially in America, there are a lot of, even at hypercar level, heavily financed, quick, own it for a short period, make some content with it, off it goes type situations. There are certainly online personalities that are more like, let's say, funds of cars. So there's maybe a person with a collection, but it's a bunch of people's collections together. I think these days, most things get called out pretty quickly. I don't think, maybe in the earlier days of social media, you could pretend that a car was yours when it isn't. And there certainly were people, but I don't think you can now because I think it's too connected.
What's your answer?
I don't really know. And if I had a name that sprung to mind, I'd say I don't really know one person in particular, but there's seems to be a trend where there's someone with a YouTube platform that is funded. When I say funded, I mean cars are used and given through somebody who would back them, and they say, "Oh, this is my car. I've got 10 whatever cars," and they're not their cars, but the person who is funding them is involved in the business. And, say someone was involved with you, for example, and one of your friends was a prolific car collector. He had $100 million worth of cars. And you'd say, "Oh, today I'm taking my LaFerrari Aperta out." It's not there. I think that's quite common. Would you agree? That's quite,
there was certainly a big wave where that was happening a lot online.
Yeah.
And you know what? It actually really frustrated me, especially when I look at some of my, I'm going to say YouTube friends, people who've been around for a long time and worked very hard. Even when somebody like James, the Stradman, if you're familiar with him, he had a Veyron and then a Koenigsegg Agera. And knowing his background and how hard he had worked and been able to achieve that, it upsets me when you see Joe Blogs saying, "Oh, here's my new multi-million-pound car," which isn't really their car or whatever. It discredits the person who did actually work very, very, very hard for it.
Yeah.
Really got there the hard way. And obviously on a personal level, I feel that frustration as well. But seeing it almost for other people when you know the story, what they've done, and so that's definitely something that frustrates me. I think the reality is, let's be real. If you're a young person now on a fairly decent salary, it's quite easy to finance into a normal supercar. There was a massive wave of that with Hurricanes.
Yeah,
anybody and their mother could get probably less than £1,000 a month, and boom, off you go in your Hurricane. And for that period, you almost don't need to fake it because you can just go and finance it.
I deal with people, and one guy in particular, he had a Lamborghini Urus, and I just took myself out of the situation for a second and looked at it as if I was a stranger, a neutral, who was sitting in a restaurant and seen this young kid pull up in a new Lamborghini Urus and get out, and he's 20 years old. And you'd think to yourself, wow, I mean, how's that guy got that car? When in reality, he owns 5% of the car. And this one particular guy, he had a flat tire. And the tires on the Urus are quite expensive. They're about £1,000 plus VAT tire. And that week, he didn't have the money to replace the tire on the Urus. It would affect his life. He couldn't pay his gym membership or something if he had to replace the tire. And I'm thinking, number one, why would you do that to yourself? And number two, from that neutral's point of view, from that hardworking guy who's gone out to a restaurant with his girlfriend that night and is conscious of the bill, and you see a 19-year-old, 20-year-old kid pull up outside and you think he's got a 300 grand car. Wow, what am I doing wrong in life? But flipping it from the other side to know what I know about the guy who's got it, I would rather be the guy in the restaurant, you know?
There's a lot of that. And I think social media has...
It's all for Instagram.
Yeah, social media is... And I obviously feel a little guilty because I'm on the other end of that. I've been lucky to buy these cars and grow my business, and I show them all the time. And I think there is a problem or an issue coming in this respect with the younger generation, now teenagers, who have grown up seeing everybody online. All the guys have supercars and all the girls have fancy handbags.
Yeah.
And that's just what you see. And you almost will feel potentially like a failure if you don't achieve that, even though that's not realistic.
Yeah,
You know,
I know, 100%.
If you're very successful, you get to purchase these luxury items, but that's a very small percentage. Yet if you go to social media, it's every second person.
It's not even special anymore.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
If you look at Instagram, you know, private jets and Birkin handbags and Ferraris and Lambos, everyone's got them.
One of the reasons for the takeoff of my channel back in the time was sharing videos from my Vantage. Put yourself in 2010, 2011. Who that owned a £72,000 Aston Martin was making videos and sharing it? I was like the only person in the world. And that's one of the reasons why my channels grew, because at that time, social media was still so new that nobody in a position with, you know, luxury assets felt comfortable with showing it yet. And I guess kind of was the opposite way, because social media was what I was just doing and I was enjoying growing it and getting an audience and whatnot. And obviously I started seeing that I made a video driving this across to France, and boom, all of a sudden I got huge viewership. And being at the very, I guess, start of that and seeing the shift of that and seeing more people opening up to it. And what you see now, certainly in the last few years, that I find absolutely amazing is when people who have $100 million in cars start picking up a camera and vlogging their collection. What a world that you would have never seen 10, 15 years ago. It's absolutely crazy. It feels like every week another massive collection, particularly in America, pops up on social media. Like it's bonkers.
Yeah. Because there's a business in it and people realize that there's a business.
Oh, for sure.
So they say like, right, I've got all these cars. You put them on your channel. I own 50% of you, and crack on, get your camera out. And then all of a sudden it comes back to your question, who's faking the collections? I think it's common.
Yeah.
It goes both ways, because, you know, I know plenty of, I'm going to say, very legitimate collectors. Good friends with Steve Hamilton, the Hamilton Collection.
Yeah.
Got some very nice cars based up in Chicago. He actually runs the collection, makes the channel, earns the revenue, and they actually every month donate the revenues they make from their YouTube channel to charity. Every month. Yeah, picks a different charity every month.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
So he's done some huge
He has is it predominantly a rental business that he has?
So they do some renting of the cars.
Oh, right,
I think
okay.
that's to do with structuring it as a business rather than the personal collection.
Yeah.
And by renting them out.
But they donate all the
They
proceeds.
donate the
Really?
YouTube proceeds every single month. So they've written some very big checks. Very big.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Like,
That
really
is.
good guys.
Yeah.
Like, so that's the opposite side of the like scam side.
I've seen
is
his
the good
beef
side.
with Conan's egg recently.
Oh yeah, that was a funny. Yeah. Well,
That was a nervous laugh, wasn't it?
I'm sure some people know a little bit about it, but he had some issues with his Regera, and then his Jeska arrived later than he had hoped and had an issue initially, and the Jumeirah is obviously very delayed and whatnot. And I felt very close to this because I know Steve very well. I know Christian and the team at Koenigsegg very well. I also know the dealer through whom he buys his cars very well. So I'm watching this like, I'm just going to...
I'm out.
Shmee is offline.
I am not involved in this one.
Shall we finish on a quick fire round?
We can try. I'm not very good with quickfire questions.
That's okay.
I tend to waffle too much. Sorry.
Not at all. So we've got a few quick fire questions here. And of course, this is a very common one, but it is a good one. You best 3-car garage. You can only have 3.
Money, no object.
Yeah. 3-car garage, but it's got to include a daily you use. It's got to tick all the boxes, and you can only have 3.
Pura Sangue. I knew that.
I think that's a good call.
Best daily. It's a V12. It's a Ferrari. It's practical. It's comfortable.
Okay, well, this is you, so okay.
The dream.
I can't wait till I sell you a Persangway one day. I cannot wait.
I had my fuck buying one of them.
I cannot wait.
And I'm not buying one off you. I wouldn't give you the pleasure.
Cannot wait.
The dream collectible supercar, F50. Very heavy on the V12 Ferrari front here.
Yeah.
What's going to be number 3? What do I need number 3 to do? It's just got to be something small and fun. Small and fun and dailyable and usable. Because we're not throwing money and it doesn't matter that it's at the cheaper end. I'm going to say a new Renault 5. Little electric Renault 5. I loved the Renault 5.
That was a curveball, wasn't
That
it?
was.
I had one for a bit. I loved it. I thought it was a lot of fun. As modern cars go, cool retro throwback. And I want something in this that's my just stick on adaptive cruise control on the motorway. How
Right.
boring, but I really liked that car.
Good.
I had Renault
Sure,
lent me a Renault
comments.
5 for 6 months.
Yeah.
And I'm actually, I said to them when I gave it back, I liked it so much, I'm going to go and buy one. And then they said, would you like to have the Alpine next instead? So I was like, okay, sure. But when the Alpine goes, I'm going to go and buy a Renault 5.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
really liked it.
So,
What about you?
no one gives a fuck.
Of course I care.
I'm just the interviewer.
Go on,
mate.
you're
Any
part
Ferraris?
of it. Come
I
on,
am
let's go.
part of it. Yeah, I do all the fucking work. Okay, my 3-car garage. I really loved my Porsche Panamera Turbo S as a daily.
Okay.
It's obviously just about to be replaced, isn't it? But because it's a car I had, I'm going to say Porsche Panamera Turbo S for the daily. For me, for the classic F40, because that was my era. And then I suppose you've got to have one like fuck you car in it, I suppose.
And an F40 isn't.
Yeah, all right. But that's the classic. That's the classic. You could just take the piss out of my choices.
No. So far, well, I didn't agree with the first one. That was shite. But anyway,
It wasn't shite.
no. The Panamera.
The Panamera Turbo S is a great car. It does everything. I'm on
I'll
my
let you
own on
have it
this
because
one,
it's your
am I?
opinion. Everyone's entitled to it.
What's number 3?
What's number 3? Need to redeem yourself here, Rob.
You control me without speaking. I've learned this. I don't know. I think the Chiron's amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And from you guys have all got these high-end Bugattis. You say it's the highest echelon.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm so close. You know, when I said the SP3 Daytona, it was that or a Chiron, and I don't know.
Okay. So you both trolled me on my daily.
I'm all
So
right with
The other
Chiron
two are
choice.
great, by the way. Your daily shite.
Do you know the Bugatti tagline? If comparable, it's no longer a Bugatti. They're in a league of their own.
They are.
Yeah. Okay.
So
right.
5 of the 9 were Ferraris. That's interesting
Yeah.
between us.
Yeah. Right. Penultimate question.
Mhm.
You can only answer, and I know you find this bit hard, but this is fine. You can only answer overrated or underrated. New question we're trying.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to read out like 10 car brands.
The brands.
Yeah, the brands.
Okay.
And you can only answer overrated or underrated.
Okay.
This is going to be fun, this one.
He's thinking of all these.
He's overheating. Look.
He's thinking of all these sponsorships for the minute.
Well, I'm not sponsored by car brands.
Yeah.
So luckily, please don't hate
Okay.
me. Please don't hate me.
McLaren,
Currently overrated.
Porsche,
Overrated.
Lotus.
Are they even rated at all?
zip it.
They've got a shit car.
This is fun, this one.
It is.
But are they? That's the problem, isn't it?
No one rates them at all in any
People say
way.
they're amazing or not amazing. What do people say?
I don't think anyone cares.
I think it's. I mean, I like Lotus, but it's got to be overrated. So I've had 3 overrateds in a row so far.
Bentley,
I love the new Super Sports. I'm going to say underrated right now.
Aston Martin,
Overrated.
Rolls-Royce,
Love a Rolls Royce. Underrated.
Bugatti,
Bugatti are the best. However highly they're rated, they're still underrated.
Koenigsegg,
Overrated.
Lamborghini,
Overrated.
Ferrari.
Underrated. Oh,
That was good.
I
wasn't
agree
it?
with everything he said.
I
Yeah,
I managed answers, but oh my
completely,
goodness.
completely.
Oh,
Oh, you did well.
Koenigsegg is
Christian's
such a
going to
hard-
get on the phone to you.
But what we're talking about here, though, is in comparison with how people say they are. So,
Yeah.
saying Koenigsegg, saying Koenigsegg are overrated doesn't mean they're not great cars. But a lot of people think Koenigsegg are the be-all and end-all best things
They
in the
think they're
world.
above Bugatti. They're
Yeah.
not.
And I don't put them quite at,
Yeah.
like, yeah. So they're underrated.
Where do
relative
you
to whatever
rate-
people say they are?
Where do you rate Pagani v Koenigsegg?
They are totally different things, which I find fascinating because so many enthusiasts will put them in the same category. But Koenigsegg is all about engineering, speed, absolute latest and greatest. Pagani is about the artistry, the detail, more the experience. So they're such different things. It's really difficult, and over the years, I tend to flip-flop back and forwards. If you told me right now I was going to go and buy one car from either brand, whatever car it would be, my answer to that is I know exactly. Utopia Roadster, straight away, is what I would buy right now.
It's easy. I know your answer.
But yeah, my
You're
answer's
Pagani all the
Pagani.
way, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because
But I think a big part of that is to do with how involved I've been with the Pagani family over the years, how well I know them, the relationship I have with them. I mean, I'm quite biased where if they brought out a shit car, I'd still say it's good. Do you know what I mean? Just because I love them so much.
Yeah.
I struggle with it because I know both sides really well. You know, like I know Horacio Pagani and his family, and I know Christian Koenigsegg and his family, and lots of the senior staff at both, and I've been lucky to visit both. I've probably been to both factories 20 times or more. I know them both really, really closely, and that's why I go in kind of waves. I came this close to buying a Koenigsegg about 10 years ago when they were still fathomable amounts of money.
What, CCX?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A CCXR for, I want to say it was 350.
Full carbon?
No.
I owned a full carbon CCXR.
Okay.
Was it
So
like
you've
to
lived
own?
there.
Shit.
Was it?
Challenging
Yeah,
cars
it
to
just
live
didn't
with.
work.
No.
Yeah.
It just didn't work. I mean, they've come on leaps and bounds.
Oh.
Since the Agera, they've come on leaps and bounds to the CCX, CCR. You know,
But those cars had belts going and all sorts all the time.
it just didn't work. It didn't start sometimes. It
Yeah,
was lit up like a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
you know
constantly.
what?
It was like, guess what's wrong with it today?
So this is where I give Zenvo massive props because I was worried that I would have so many problems with this car. That's why we negotiated that if there's an issue, they have to come and
That's
fix
your
it.
problem.
Yeah. But of course, it's had some things what Hypercar in 5,000 miles hasn't.
Yeah.
But it's had way less than I thought it would, which has been like a absolute sigh of relief. I guess it's not like the latest complexities in terms of hybrid tech and whatnot. So it's all kind of understandable and manageable, but still been better than I thought. The thing with, I think, any of these cars is that effectively, if you buy a car from such a boutique small manufacturer, you're buying yourself into being the beta tester. You are the guy running it and finding out what goes wrong.
Yeah.
Just how it is. And especially early 2000s Koenigsegg's, you know, they're just building a car, putting it together.
Can you remember the procedure to start them?
Yeah,
if
that
they
way and then that
started?
way.
Like you
Would
turn
those two buttons.
Oh, man,
Oh yeah,
it's-
you would turn on the power switch.
It's like flying a Boeing 747. I mean, it's ridiculous. You put the key in. That don't start it. No. Actually, the key's got nothing to do with it at all. Then you have to press two buttons simultaneously, and then let go, and then press another two buttons simultaneously, and hold your foot on the clutch. And then if you messed up or you left too long of a delay or something, they didn't start, and then it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. It was like, no, you got a pilot. Click, 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 click. That's what it was like.
The only thing that annoys me though is if I had bought that Koenigsegg that I tried to buy back then. Like I met the asking price, and then when I agreed to it, they asked for more, and then I met the new asking price, and then they asked for more, and I was like, when does that end?
Yeah.
If I had bought that car, the only thing that annoys me is it would be 5x today what it was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, 1.5 or something for
Yeah. I mean, you don't buy a Koenigsegg for less than £1 million or
For a base
probably
entry car.
more now.
Wow.
And they were low 200s at one point. But so was Pagani.
Yeah.
We've sold a load of Paganis for 250, 275, 300.
No one thought then it would be a £10 million car.
We had a Pagani Zonda S Roadster, French blue. We bought and sold it, I think, 2 or 3 times. First time we sold it for like 225. Last time we sold it for 300. That car's 7 million quid now.
Yeah.
And we're not talking 40 years ago.
But what's amazing with Zondas being worth that level of money is that most of the cars we talk about historically that are worth fortunes, it's because of their racing success. 250 GTOs, McLaren F1s, etc. Zondas have no motorsport.
None.
It's crazy. They're iconic poster cars. They're only 140...
140, low 140s.
And yet, you know, the really, really, really high-priced ones are now breaking 8 figures. It's mad.
Yeah. I mean, a Zonda Tricolore is 15 million.
Yep.
Bloody hell.
Yeah.
Wow.
But like you say, with absolutely no racing pedigree at all. The pedigree comes within Horatio.
Yeah.
You know, his life, where he was with Lamborghini, what he achieved, what he done, his design. He's Leonardo da Vinci of the car world. He is an artist. And I think you just buy into him.
So final question. You can only pick one. So you got all the money in the world.
Oh, amazing.
But you can't have any nice cars. None. Or you can have loads of great nice cars, but everything else in your life is minimum wage. Which one do you pick, cars or money?
I mean, all the money in the world means the yachts and the planes and the jets and the...
But shitty or no cars.
Yeah, but all the boxes at events, all the hospitality, all the...
Well, how much do you love cars?
I mean, there's got to be a price.
That's not really a fair question because you can't turn up to your council house in your Chiron. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's the whole point. That's the whole point of the question.
Yeah, but
yes, you can. You have to park your Chiron outside your council house.
So there needs to be a level of...
No, that's
got to
the question.
Be a level.
That's the question. You're right. You could do anything you want, but you've got one shit car.
When it was 25 million or cars, then it's cars.
Yeah.
But if it's literally
endless
source of wealth to do whatever you wanted apart from cars, then I would probably have to ditch cars.
I don't think anyone chooses cars under that circumstance.
Yeah, maybe we need to refine the question.
I think
a bit.
so.
Yeah, I think if it's too
it needs to be a hard one.
Yeah, but I mean at that level, I'll just fuel up my G650 or 750.
I'll get flying lessons. I'd buy a fighter jet.
Yeah. You'd have a Spitfire for some days.
I'd fly straight over all these worn-torn countries and just, how you doing, lads? Anyone need any help? Everything okay?
I think, the question is a difficult one, isn't it? Unlimited cars or unlimited money?
I think if you said you can have, say...
Unlimited cars and a couple of $100,000 a year.
No, unlimited cars or 30 grand a year. It's got to be
you can't service the car.
No, but you can't. You get free servicing with your
You're like that guy in the Urus.
I like how it was a pick one or the other question.
Well, you guys are ripping my question to shit.
I think you can say, right, you can't have any cars. You can't have any cars for the rest of your life, but you got 100 million.
Or you can have
all
unlimited cars
and unlimited servicing.
And unlimited servicing, and you got a 30 grand a year salary. Adjusted for inflation, because I know you think about that.
Oh, you can't. Oh, God.
Yeah, that's the average salary, isn't
half
it?
the fun of the cars is going and
But that's the
using
point.
them.
If you had 100 million, you'd want to spend it on cars. That's, you know what I mean? That's so.
Okay.
I think it's a.
So should we refine that question for next time? Then?
I think so. We need to talk about that.
Yeah, it's unlimited cars and 30 grand a year salary, or shit cars, but 100 million spent on what you want,
No
or
cars.
10 million a year. Yeah, no cars.
No cars.
Okay, now which one are you going for? Cars or money?
I think now I go back towards the cars because it's capped. 100 million doesn't get me my Gulfstream and
It doesn't
my
exactly.
yacht and
It don't get you your 300-foot super yacht and your Gulfstream.
the stuff that would distract me from not having cars.
It doesn't.
You need
get
more
you
than
that.
100 million to get out of to forget.
You'd have a beautiful house, many beautiful houses
For 100
with
million,
lovely
you could-
garages that are empty.
Yeah.
So that's a problem.
Yeah, all right.
But you could have the Clio, right?
No, you can't have a car.
Can't even have a car.
No, you have to get an Uber everywhere.
It's Uber.
Not a really old one.
Yeah, not even one
An
of them
old, dirty
executive
one.
Ubers.
One of
Space
those
Uber X.
smelly
Yeah,
ones.
just an Uber X.
Prius picking you up every day.
No. You have to drive a Prius every day. That's the term.
Oh, no one's taking that, are
No,
they?
so the only
We're
car,
back on the cars.
your only car you can have is a Prius. That's it.
Oh. And
right,
you could probably modify a Prius into something
I
pretty
don't
cool.
think you can. I don't think you can. You modify it with a match and a tub of petrol. So you modify it.
Tim, this has been brilliant. Thanks for inviting us here and giving us all this time. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you for coming down, guys.
Thank you, Tim. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Tim.
Mate.